over the middle. He's got a man in stride, and walking into the end zone is Josh Fleeks with the touchdown.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Nice little dive to the rim. Wow, Joshua.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Wagler, oh goodness, all nylon.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this rainy. It depends where you are. You might be listening in Seattle. Well, it rains there all the time. It doesn't rain in Southern California, very rarely. And, of course, you could be on the East Coast or elsewhere. It's been kind of just raining all day, on and off. And it's coming down, and which means, do we have the towels ready, Jack? Do we have the towels ready? And, okay, so I'll be doing laundry throughout the weekend. Emma, Armstrong, Hayden, Jack are here. Craig and Paul with me, David Smoak. And we're going to replay that Mark Vidal interview from earlier in the week when he was in studio with us. He will be at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat tomorrow from 10 until 11:30 with the meet and greet, autographs, pictures, and much more. But interesting today, oh, by the way, it is 3 o'clock and there has been nothing involved when it comes to any kind of release of a report with the NCAA.
Yeah, yesterday, Mac Engel of the Star-Telegram, the reason this got drummed back up was because he had put out a tweet that said that the decision was expected today and that the reason it had been delayed the last time around was because Baylor men were in the Baylor men were in the midst of their national championship run, and there, I guess, was thought, or according to his version of events, that the NCAA didn't want to come down with some punishment on Baylor football in the middle of this dream men's basketball run, which makes some sense. But that's what he said, and so now that's what delayed it, and that's why we were going to find out today, and yet here we are, and it's 2 hours until, really an hour because we're in the Central Time Zone, an hour until the East Coast shuts down for the weekend, and there's nothing. So,
all right. Well, so it also, who knows, maybe just he got some legitimate information, didn't work out, and maybe he just didn't do enough research, but I've told you this, 24 hours notice, and I got a text earlier this morning, like at 5-something, I guess is when I actually realized when the text came down. There still had not been any contact with the NCAA and Baylor University.
I sent you guys this text earlier because I was thinking about it. So 5 years, that's how long it's been from violation or supposed violation to now. So it's been exactly 5 years. All right, so here's what you can do in 5 years. You can graduate from college with multiple degrees.
As some Baylor football players have.
Yes. You could have four, like you could have reasonably 4 children. Like if you were that fertile, you could have 4 children.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. You could, it takes about a year.
Is this a top 5 at 5 early?
No. I mean
this sounds great right now.
You could build 3 football stadiums. Like it took McLean Stadium about a year and a half and change to really get going. So you build 3 complete football stadiums.
Or maybe 3 pavilions.
Yeah. Break ground on another. You could also, in less time, on December 7th, 1941, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. We entered World War II in 1941. The World War II was over in 1945, which was less than 4 years later. So in less time than it took us to defeat the Germans, the Japanese, and the Italians, the NCAA has not figured out what in the world happened at Baylor.
We started this show, and this is good because 2 days ago, you guys both just were awful the way the show ended. And I'm going to applaud you for this one. You were ready for it, and I wanted to bring it up. And I mentioned, again, you have to have a 24-hour. Now, hey, that doesn't mean at 6:30 tonight something doesn't pop, but it didn't pop. And everyone you get a lot of clicks and views, and you get a lot of attention. And then all of a sudden, okay, is it going to be tomorrow? Is it going to be Tuesday? Is it going to be when? But bottom line is, the NCAA has not notified Baylor of when the report will be released, at least not yet. They're supposed to get a 24-hour period of time. I want to get into, at some point today, Milford football, AD and football coach Ronnie Crumpton. He had been there for over 20-plus years. In all of the history of Milford football, and this is not some random, there's a point to this, he has won at least maybe even more than half of the school and the program's wins all time. But he is no longer the AD and football coach at Milford, and I want to share that story with you because it is just insane. And we'll get to that in just a little bit. Also, the Mavericks tonight, there will be 16,000 frothing at the mouth fans inside the AAC for Game 3 against the Clippers. They are going to be going nuts at the AAC.
Yeah, they've been talking about, having these crowds back. We've seen the difference that it's made in some other places. So to see it in Dallas will be awesome. They'll be, like you said, they'll be chumming the water because the Clippers are bleeding right now. Mavericks smell blood, and so the fans will be circling to try and get that 3-0 lead. And if they get that 3-0 lead, I feel confident saying this thing's done for. I don't at 2-0, even though both those wins are on the road, just because if something crazy happens tonight, then that momentum can flip really quick. But if they do get the win tonight, then 3-0 lead. It would be nice for Mavs fans for sure. And hey, They've played well so far. We'll see if they can do it again tonight.
Yeah, and they have, and this could be the kill. Or do the Clippers show any kind of veteran? They have a lot of veterans. Do they come in tonight? Sometimes the road team steals game one because, sometimes there's a layoff or not, or just you steal game one. Clippers don't win tonight. They're surely not going to win game 4, which I think is on Sunday or whenever they play. But tonight there'll be 6. The Clippers have probably not played in front of many fans, and surely not this many fans since the bubble started a year ago. Wouldn't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, the season was going on, and then it was shut down, in March a year ago?
Yeah.
So up until then, so it's been over a year since they played in front of the any kind of fans like this, especially being out of California, even when they're home. I don't even know what the rules are right now in California and don't care. All right, so that's going on. TheAthletic.com today. And I was asked about a couple of the Baylor coaches, and towards the bottom of this poll, there I think are 38 or 40 names. They rated from 1 to 38 or 40 the all-time hires as head football coaches in Big 12 history, which eliminates Bill Snyder, the first era. It eliminates it eliminates Gary Patterson because he was a part of the Mountain West, I guess, at the time. So this is anybody that's been hired since the Big 12 formed in 96. It includes Mac Brown, Bob Stoops, Lincoln Riley, includes Mike Leach. It includes a lot. It also includes Guy Morris, Kevin Steele, Dave Roberts, Matt Rule, and Art Briles. And Dave Aranda has not been on the job long enough to be a part of this poll or this list. And Max Olson and Sam Kahn are the ones who helped put this together along with other staff. And in fact, they called me about, okay, I'm going to ask you this. Roberts, Morris, and Steele. I said, this is what I said. Morris, of the three, Morris would be 1. Then Roberts would be well below that at 2. And then there would be another drop-off to Kevin Steele, correct?
Yes, yeah. And one of the things that people outside of Waco may not realize is that in spite of the fact that Guy Morris didn't win a whole hill of beans of games here, he won more than his predecessors did. And he was the one who started to convince Baylor people what even Coach Taft couldn't do, which still blows my mind that they wouldn't listen to him, but that, yes, you need modern facilities here. You need better facility. You need an indoor facility. You need, part of the reason that, some of these teams can practice and Baylor can't is because when it rains, Baylor's got to go inside and they can't do anything. But Texas A&M and Texas and all these teams that could play, even before the facilities got all that fancy, they had an indoor facility. They had something they could go inside.
There were high schools who had.
Well, yeah, maybe what happened is South Lake Carroll got it, and then Guy was like, guys,
I know.
Come on.
There's a 1 through whatever. I shared it with Craig and I shared it with Paul, and I think I sent it to Jack and Armstrong as well. It's a long story. I printed the whole thing out. It's like 20-something pages. But we're going to go down that list, and we're going to get your feedback when we can. In fact, right now, we're going to give you the top 5 to 10. We're going to tell you where Art Briles is, which, of course, is going to be a lightning rod if he's too high or he's too low or he shouldn't be on the list. And remember now, Bill Snyder can be on the list because he was hired a second time, but it does not include him or Osborne or anybody that was hired prior to the Big 12 forming in 1996. So let me ask you this, because Snyder, who would be, if you included Snyder, era 1, and you included Patterson, who would be your top 5 among Stoops, Snyder, era 1, Patterson, Mac Brown, and and Osborne wouldn't count because he ended 2 years after the Big 12.
I thought Patterson didn't count. So does he count?
He doesn't. He doesn't. Well, Osborne would be one. Well, maybe I'm a little biased there. Would Osborne be one?
Well, does he count or does he not count?
No, he just wasn't in it too long enough.
Because if he did, you counted all the way back to 72, and that would be
so.
enough.
Yeah, we need to set the parameters so we know
so
who
Patterson doesn't count. Era 1 of Bill Snyder doesn't count. It's who has been hired since the Big 12 formed. It's Stoops and Mac Brown and Snyder too, and obviously others along the way. Lincoln Riley, whoever else.
Yeah, I think the top 2 are Bob Stoops because of the sustainability of what Oklahoma has done. Mac Brown, number 2, because he and Stoops are the only 2 who have won national titles in the league, although it's been a long time for both of them. I think I'm going to put Bill Snyder number 2 at
era 2
at 3 because they had it was, if they had not done that, who knows where Kansas State would be right now. Had they start kind of trying to recycle, more guys like Ron Prince, like they would have been in trouble. I think Lincoln Riley 4 because I think he is taking over for Bob Stoops, and at this point he doesn't really have any Stoops guys anymore.
All right,
and is sustaining.
You go all the way to 5 for me.
Yeah, and then Matt Campbell
ahead of Gundy and Leach.
Because
ahead of Gary Pinkel.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Because Matt Campbell has done something at Iowa State that no one else could do, is that he has made them feared and people think it's sustainable.
Okay.
And I think it is, as long as he's there, I think he can sustain.
All right, Craig, you give me your 5 among the ones that are eligible.
Bob Stoops is number 1. Mac Brown's number 2. They both have titles, but Stoops kicked Mac's ass all the time. Yeah. So Mac doesn't belong above him. So those are the top 2. I think those are the very clear 2. Looking at that rest of the list, I got to say Lincoln Riley an edge above Mike Gundy. Lincoln Riley, being in the playoff a couple of times already, winning the Big 12 more times than everybody else has, basically, other than Stoops and Mac Brown for the most part. I'd put Lincoln there. I mean, the dude's lost less than 10 games in his time at Oklahoma and has just basically taken not a dynasty, but taken a top shelf program and just kept it going. And that's not easy to always do. So I put Lincoln there, Gundy 4. I like their top 5. Now I'm looking at it. Mike Leach has got to be up there.
Yeah, so Stoops, Mac, Lincoln Riley, Mike Gundy, and Mike Leach.
I think I'm kind of good with that one, yeah. I wouldn't put Snyder 2. I know what Snyder 2 meant to K-State as far as keeping it afloat, but they didn't really win. And winning matters to me. So I couldn't put him above Riley or guys who have won big trophies.
Open the lines up, Paul.
Yeah, okay.
254-339-1122. You give us your 5. These are coaches who were hired after the Big 12 form.
And part of me wants to put Briles in the top 5 because of what he did, but the thing is that he did it, and no matter what the level of his involvement in the undoing, he had a part of the undoing. Like, he was part of that. His decisions were part of the unraveling. It wasn't, it was all part of a big salad of crap. So, but he was part of that, so I have to take him slightly out of the top 5. But I thought he was rated too low at top 12. At 12, right?
Okay, yeah, he's at 12, and now let's look who else, because this is going to be something. I think this will get some feedback from you. And again, some of the responses to the article, because I looked at about 8 or 10 of them, were like Tom Herman's too high. How did Charlie Strong not finish at the bottom? Well, that goes to tell you how bad other coaches have been in the Big 12. Number 6 is Pinkel, who did a great job at Missouri. Snyder era 2 is 7. Matt Campbell is 8. Frank Solich is 9. And Nebraska, when he got fired, his record was really good. And then Matt Rule is 10. Bo Pelini, whose record was really good and almost beat a hell of a UT team, he's 11. We know why he got fired. He's just lost his you-know-what. And Art Briles is 12. I think Briles needs to be in the top 5. The question is, where do I put him in the top 5? And then if you take the overall thing, as good as what he did in winning those Big 12 titles and bringing them out of the doldrums, he also was a part of the wreckage no matter how much.
Yeah, I mean, he's attached to it no matter what involvement or not. And, for all the, well, I didn't know this was going on or we did this correctly, and I believe some of that is true. I mean, there's just no saying that, you just can say you're completely hands-free, clean, and never did anything wrong. I refuse to believe that. That not everything unfolds the way that it did if everybody did what they were supposed to do. So I can only believe that to a certain extent. I mean, it's, his ranking is all the scandal. I mean, that's what it is. If not for that and the way the program came, crumbling down in so many ways, he's probably number 3 on this list because of where Baylor was before him to where they are now. And he's probably got a couple of extra Big 12 titles, so he'd probably have about 4 of them right now. May even have a playoff appearance at this point. And I don't think it's crazy to think that way because of the trajectory that they were on. So
they were loaded up.
Yeah, he would have probably been number 3 on this list, but because of what happened, you have to take that into account and drop him lower. I mean, they got him next to Mark Mangino, who actually did have a good stint at Kansas. They have him above Mangino. But, this is all scandal-related.
Guy Morris, 30th. Dave Roberts, 35th. Kevin Steele, 36th. Charlie Weiss, last on the list, is 37th. Les Miles was ranked twice with his time at Oklahoma State, which was good, and then also his disaster at Kansas, which ended back earlier in the year. Is there any question at all? The debate, Craig, you answered this for me, but I was going to ask this question. 254-339-1122. Stoops over Mack at 1 and 2. Oklahoma, since the 70s, has been year in and year out better than Texas. Now, the overall series, Texas owns that. But since the 70s,
not by as much as they used to.
No, I know. You kind of get that thing tightened up. There was a time, though, Mack Brown took Texas out of what was a disastrous year in 96? And it was right after the Big 12 format, yet they won. 97 is when 98 was his first year Ricky Williams Heisman Trophy, with Makovic having 97. But it's not like UT was Kansas State. It's not like they were Baylor. It's not like they were Iowa State. It's not like they were them. So I think that because of head-to-head, and it wasn't like 15-5. I don't know what the head-to-head was, but it was enough. And big moments as well. And it took Vince Young to turn the tide a little bit. So Stoops 1, Mack 2. I don't think there's any question that's the 1 and 2. Lincoln Riley still has a long way to go. Matt Campbell still has a long way to go, and that's kind of high for him. But again, I understand what he's accomplished. He hadn't been there that long. Hell, who knows? Maybe he could end up having his own problems in the end. But we'll see.
1-2, there's not an argument.
Yeah.
There's not an argument to be made. They have national titles. That's bottom line, point blank. You can't argue Mack and Stoops, and I don't think you can really argue Mack versus Stoops either because they negate each other with the national titles, and then the head-to-head record, it's very clearly in Stoops' favor. Big 12 titles clearly in Stoops' favor. So, I think those are the top 2 cemented. And then it's interesting to hear what everybody, will say after those guys. And just looking, the all-time UTOU 62-49.
Yeah, and it used to be worse than that.
Oh, it used to be a lot worse.
And, of course, UT dominated everybody that they've played over the years. The only one they never seemed to do was Kansas State because of the Big 12 forming. They dominate the A&M series. They eventually took complete control of the series in a short term over Nebraska as well. That used to be like they'd played twice. All right, here's the text toy, then we'll go to the phone lines. Let's make this about top 5 coaches since the Big 12 was formed. This does not include Gary Patterson, which some of you wouldn't want to do that anyway, but he would be in the mix. It does not include Osborne. It does not include Bill Snyder, era 1. It's since the Big 12 was formed. Here's from Scotty B. I would have Stoops 1, Mack 2. 3, 4, and 5 would be Lincoln Riley, Mike Gundy at 4, Matt Campbell at 5. From the 817 who's driving, thanks for doing that anyway. Stoops, Mack, Riley, Gundy, and Briles from where Baylor was back-to-back titles and a Heisman Trophy. Winningest era in school history. Riley would be the only one going to the playoffs. Wouldn't be the only one going to the playoffs for the Big 12 because Briles might have taken Baylor to that point. We just don't know.
I think that's one of my just selfish biggest regrets from everything it's not the biggest one, but just entertainment-wise, the fact that we didn't get 3 or 4 years of Briles versus Riley is really a shame because that would have been some insane football offensively, and we never got to see it. And that sucks, man. That would have been I think that would have been a great little rivalry between two offensive masterminds. But yeah, I mean, Briles on paper, what he did, just bottom line, like I said a few minutes ago, I'd probably have him at like 3 or 4 if that was. I mean, especially because like I said, in the 5 years since that happened. He would have added more. There would have been at least another Big 12 title, in my opinion, at least, knocking on the playoff door again. So
with the class he had coming in,
along with who they had coming back for 15.
Yeah.
Seth Russell.
They were 6-0 until they melted down.
Yeah, with all that coming back and the things that they had loaded up and all they needed. All Art would have really needed was one. Listen, he goes to the playoff as the 4 seed, gets his ass handed to him by Alabama, 58 to 28. It wouldn't have mattered because it'd been like, look what I just did.
Well, what he needed was a non-conference game.
Yeah.
A big win in a non-conference game and not a Holiday Bowl or whatever. That would have been the one thing that puts them over the top. Their classes were sealed to be really, really good. This is not to bring up the old scars.
No,
this is to try to say, where are they? And we're about to take your calls at 254-339-1122.
And so I almost think for him in particular, there has to be like an asterisk of sorts, of pre and post scandal kind of, because there's 2 ways to view it. There is the before that happened, but then that did happen. So,
well, it's all,
right. It's
kind of hard.
Before, yes, he's like top 5 easily. After, put him at the bottom because of, what it caused. But we'll let everybody kind of explain their reasoning, I guess.
All right, we will go over the entire list at some point, and I know that Jack put this together on the graphics, which is great, along with Paul's 2-5 at 5:55 and 3:05 today. It's great work by Jack on this. It's too early. They say it's too early to have Aranda. Jim Grove was not a part of this because that kind of almost is still the Briles era, and of course we know how that ended 7-6. All right, let's go to the calls.
Come on, T-Rex, you're on SicEm365 Radio.
Hey guys, appreciate you taking the call. I found the list, got it pulled up, right? 100% agree with 1 and 2. Texas fans will argue it should be flipped, whatever, but let's just look at pure stats here. This is crazy. There's a 1-year difference between Stoops and Mack Brown. Mack Brown came in a year before Stoops, according to this list. I was like 7 years old, so don't ask me if this is accurate when that happened. But he has 32 more victories overall with the same amount of losses in the Big 12, or the same amount of losses overall. They both lost 48 games, but somehow one less season than Mack Brown. Stoops accumulated 32 more victories and a much better and almost 30 more victories in the Big 12. So, that's a lot of championship games, probably the same amount of regular season. Obviously, regular season's played the same amount. They went to a bowl game probably every year during those years for both programs, but there's that many more victories that Oklahoma won under Stoops. Stoops all day, and then Mack Brown at 2. Now, Lincoln Riley, he's running the Big 12, but he ain't been here long enough, I feel like, to put him at 3. He hadn't won a playoff game. Granted, a lot of coaches can't say they won a playoff game, but I think it's just a little too early for him. He may end up being the best coach in the Big 12 we've ever had, but we gotta wait. He came in 2017. Let's give him some time. Mike Gundy, the hell has he ever done besides argue with T. Boone Pickens? The day that, God rest his soul, but the day that Pickens died was the happiest day in Mike Gundy's life. His entire energy has been dedicated to that. So I don't know what the hell Mike Gundy's doing besides, refusing to cut his mullet. He doesn't deserve to be 4. Top 10, maybe. Top 5, heck no. Mike Leach, offensive mastermind, but he stole his offense from my head coach in college, Hal Mummy. So Mike Leach is out. Art Briles, skip everybody else from there. Art Briles is top 5. Hell, he might be top 3. And you know what? It doesn't matter about the scandal, whether it happened, whether it didn't. We're talking, like y'all said, pure on-field performance. Art Briles took a team, a program. We didn't think we could win. We were, Guy Morris, like he did, like you said, he started saying, hey, we got to spend money. I agree. Why the heck we never listened to Grant Sapp? Who knows? But Briles took a team and put them on the national scale. It showed we can win, we can do this, and, a lot of what ifs, right? And Seth Russell doesn't get hurt, didn't break his neck. We go to the playoff. Who cares if we get blown out, like you said, by Alabama? We made the playoff. Recruiting class gets bigger. So, and also if 2015 Seth Russell doesn't break his neck, we go to the playoffs, then we're not sitting here 5 years later wondering when the NCAA is going to tell us what's going on, because it never happens. But that's neither here nor there. Matt Rule, my only last point here, Matt Rule, love the guy, love what he did at Baylor. I don't think he's top 10 just because I feel like he benefited from what was left over. He didn't have the true overall rebuild and what Browse did. And everybody says Matt Rule did crazy things from 2017 to 18 to 19. I will die on this hill. 1-11 happened for very specified reasons, and that rebuild is not as great looking if Matt Rule would have put more effort into the first season. We shouldn't have been 1-11. That's the only reason that the season looked like the crazy turnaround in 2018 go to a bowl game. We win 5 games in 2017. This whole talk of Matt Rule being this great coach at Baylor is a completely different conversation. I love Matt Rule, but he shouldn't be ranked higher than Pelini, and he shouldn't be higher than Browse and Mangino. Should have never been fired. I mean, the list goes on and on. I put Matt Rule top 20. No way he should be at number 10.
Okay.
Bears.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, T-Rex. Very thorough, and also love the fact you had a lot of insight on each one of them. TheAthletic.com, I've said this before. I've said this when we've had their guests on, Max Olson, Sam Conn will join us at 4:10, Bruce Feldman, whoever else. It's the only subscription that I put out there that I pay for to get on a media site. I will not do it for anything else. And so it's really good. And I mean, you get a lot. Now, SicEm365, I work for them. Otherwise, I would have a subscription and a premium subscription as well. We hope you do that because of all the things.
Yeah, do that before you do the athletics.
Yeah, no, do that one first with all of what we got going as well. And there's a thread on that. Colt, my God, it was unbelievable. He went on the air because we've now started doing things where Hayden or Jack or others are now taking pieces of what we have with an interview and then putting those clips up. It's incredible what we're doing, and so hopefully you are going to be a subscriber, if not already, to SicEm365. All right, well, come back. Let's continue this conversation. 254-339-1122. We're going to give you the list of some of the other names, too high, too low, and the text line's wide open. YouTube is wide open. 254-339-1122. SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Look, it's Memorial Day weekend. Maybe you're getting out to a barbecue. Maybe you've been in charge of, you got to go round up some craft beer. Well, guess what? Riverbend Liquor and Wine has the best selection of craft beer you can find. Walk into that gorgeous walk-in fridge. It's amazing. You'll see everything they have there, and he rotates it. I'm sure he's got some great summer beers right now. I need to ask him to send me the list and see what he's rotated out from spring to summer. I'm sure there's some good shandies or something in there right now at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Also, they've got the limited release Balcony single barrel right now that you can only get at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. That's there right now. They've got a lot of different varieties of Balcones, so you can pop in there and pick that up as well. And I got my bottle. It's really, really interesting notes and flavor. So if you're a whiskey aficionado like me, you should give it a try. Great spirits, great wine, great customer service, unbelievably fast drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Pay over qualified buyer with $4,000 down at 2.9% TTNL extra. See deal for details.
Travel is back, and so are the savings of the Memorial Day savings event at Richard Carr. Save $5,900 on 2021 Buick Encore. Drive off in the affordable luxury of a Buick Encore for as little as $258 a month. Or vacation in the spacious comfort of a 3-row Buick Enclave and save $8,500. 100% credit approval is always our goal. It's the Memorial Day savings event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott at edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, here we go. Let's go over this list. And we still want your feedback. We'd love to hear from you on this Friday, raining like cats and dogs. Top hires since the Big 12 formed, and we'll kind of go over this, and we'll stop whenever we need to have a discussion. We've told you the top 10. Stoops, Mack, Lincoln.
Hey, I think we need to call special attention to the bottom 6.
Okay. Well, let me give you some of the guys. Let me just kind of touch on a few others. We mentioned the top 12. All right?
I will say, I know that a lot of people are with T-Rex, and I'm not actually all the way opposed to this idea, but Matt Rule's first year shouldn't have been as bad as 1-11. It shouldn't have been. So I do agree with him to an extent. And Matt Rule was around such a short amount of time. I do think he did a great job, but I think maybe it was a little bit blown out of proportion because he did have a lot of talent when he came back. I mean, I know there was a lack of O-line. I'm not trying to bring down any of his accomplishments, but I do think it's a little bit overvalued. That first year going the whole story of 1-11 to 11 wins. I think they were a bit better than a 1-win team that first year.
All right.
I just don't think they had anything emotionally in the tank.
I don't think he intentionally tanked like some people are saying.
So I think probably what he underestimated, and if we asked him this, he might even, he'll tell us what he thinks, but I think in the 1-11 year, what you probably underestimate is, all right, the last part of last season was really emotionally draining. Okay, let's restart. It'll be fine. And then when you lose to Liberty, it was just
inexcusable. Though.
It was inexcusable. But when it happened, it was like in case of emergency, break glass. It was just boom. That's bad. And then
there might have been timing that Liberty, you shouldn't lose to Liberty if you're Baylor. You don't do that. But it might have been a timing where they were seasoned that year, and they were a lot better than they've ever been before, and they've actually been pretty good ever since. And they just hit him at the wrong time. It was just a bad mixture. It was a horrible perfect storm in a negative way.
And people don't realize or just forget that they did have a walk-on playing starting in that game in the secondary. If you remember, that's who they abused over. I can't remember the name now, but that's who Golden Gandy or whatever. Gandy Golden, I can't remember his name now. I forget who it was. We just abused the secondary the entire night.
I think because you tried to forget.
Maybe, but yeah, I mean, just saying that, yeah, they shouldn't have been as bad as 1-11, but there were reasons why they were 1-11. So I can see where you would kind of up or down Matt Rule a little bit, depending on who you are.
We'll have Grayson at 345, 254-339-1122 on the YouTube. Travis just popped in again, and also, of course, others. Gary Barton, a 13 Mangino. He's 12 and 22, but my God, they were 12 and 1 year.
But he was insensitive, and he said mean words.
Okay, so that's why he's 13, not like 8. Gary Barnett, now what he did was 49 and 38, 7 years, and ended Nebraska's
chokehold.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ended it. Les Miles at 15 while he was at Oklahoma State. I disagree with this. He's 28 and 21. He had a Cotton Bowl appearance. Next is Tom Herman at 16. Is it 16?
I don't know how
Tom
you
Herman
can
was
put
32
Tom
and he was
Herman.
32 and 18 at Texas, and with all this, he can walk on water. And here, just you're healed. But when you think this way, then you look at who's behind him. Tell me who should be in front of him. Mike Sherman, 500 at A&M. Paul Rhodes, 32 and 55. Chris Kleiman. He's still 12 and 11.
TBD.
Neil Brown, TBD. Bill Callahan. What's amazing about this Nebraska, I would suck the blood out of my arm if they could go 27 and 22 in the next 4 years. But under 500 in the conference and screwed them for a long time.
Yeah, Bill Callahan and what was the guy's name? Steve Peterson.
Yep.
Steve Peterson.
They crushed
just absolutely crushed
Dennis Franchione at 23. Same thing, just above 500. Matt Wells too early. Tommy Tuberville, 20 and 17. Charlie Strong.
Yeah, but Tommy Tuberville's exit, if you're going to count extracurricular things like with Bryles and use that against him, you got to talk about the NCAA stuff with Mangino, which I think some of that Kansas really blew out of proportion, and then some of it was actual, violations. But Tuberville's exit from Tech, are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
Dude left in the middle of a recruiting dinner.
But that's how bad the rest of this list is.
Yeah, I mean.
Charlie Strong, Ron Prince. Remember Terry Allen at Kansas?
I'll tell you, my favorite Ron Prince story was, and this is why he got fired, because he broke just an NCAA rule that when you break it, I mean they're gonna come for you because a parent is gonna call. But they went on the road to Louisville. They went on the road to Louisville. Louisville's not a bad team. They got smacked around the field by Louisville. They land back in Manhattan at 3 a.m., and he has everybody get off the plane, put their sneakers on, and run stadiums on what's supposed to be their day off. That is, probably...
That's what my coach would have done back in the 70s.
Yeah, but that, as far as the NCAA goes, you cannot do that.
No, I know.
And it is one of those things you have to investigate. Did it happen? Yes, okay, you're
Prince
fired.
did hire James Franklin as his offensive coordinator, but they didn't do much with Josh Freeman. Terry Allen, Dan Hawkins was a disaster at Colorado.
It's the Big 12.
Guy Morris at 30.
Girls.
He was 18 and 40, but as Scotty mentioned, there were a couple of upsets in there for them. John Blake, 31, disaster. Gene Chizik, Iowa State, disaster, despite the fact he won a national championship at Auburn. Next up, let's see, David Beatty, disaster. 6 and 42. Turner Gill, 5 and 19. A lot of these are Kansas. Dave Roberts at 35. Kevin Steele at 36. And believe it or not, there's somebody below him named Les Miles.
Another with he sucked on the field, but so has everybody at Kansas, basically, other than Mark Mangino. But Les's indiscretions also,
that's why
come into play.
Yeah, he was there, and I thought maybe he was going to give Kansas a goose. Unfortunately, he gave everyone else one, and so he's gone.
I was torn on that initially just because it was still Kansas. It was still, I just didn't believe that he was going to be able to pull talent like he was pulling at LSU or even at Oklahoma State. But I do remember, initially there was some buzz for that, but man, that buzz went away really quick.
Charlie Weiss is dead last. Disaster.
I'm going to bring up 2 points here. I want to talk about Charlie Weiss, but here's the last 6. Kansas, Baylor, Kansas.
That makes sense.
And that pretty much tracks with the history of the conference, But Charlie Weiss at Big 12 Media Days, his first year, I was outside, and he was giving his, the scrum talk. And someone asked him, how do you get players to come to Kansas when they haven't before? And his answer was, well, they'll go to Kansas State. They'll go to Iowa State. They'll go to Oklahoma State. Why wouldn't they come here? And the reporter's like, well, dude, that's what I'm asking you. What are you trying to highlight about Kansas? And Charlie took it to mean listen, every other city in the Big 12 is kind of in the middle of nowhere, small college town. Why wouldn't they come to Lawrence? And again, the guy's like, no. What I'm saying is, what do you have to change about the culture? And he's like, no. And he just did not get it. And I knew from that point on, this is about to be a disaster, because Charlie Weiss hasn't noticed that there's nothing that something's wrong with the way that they handle football. And that reporter was asking, what do you need to change about the way that your university handles football so that you can be good again?
Yeah, he kept, okay. So that's the list. You have to be a member of theathletic.com to read it, but I just gave it to you. We just gave it to you. So we'll see what happens with that. High school baseball real quick, and I have no idea what the weather. Crawford in baseball beaten by Lindsay 2 straight games. Bosqueville tonight supposed to play in Weatherford. Game 3 of their best of 3 with Windthorst. They came back to win last night 7-2. Yo and Buna, game 2 tomorrow. Buna up 1-0. Softball. Lake Belton is up 1-0 in their series against Liberty. Game 2 tonight. We hope all of them play. And Crawford came back to beat Italy in the second game. They'll play tomorrow morning in West at 11 o'clock. Those are the teams left in baseball and softball. All right? We will, Mavericks again, game 3 tonight. We've mentioned the coaching hires in the Big 12. Friday is kind of churning along. Still, there's no additions to Nikki Collins' staff and the Lady Bears. She had mentioned she'd hoped to have that done by the end of the week. I have not been able to get any feedback that might happen. Maybe it will at some point. All right? Anything else? Make sure I do mention Ronnie Crumpton. We will hear from Danny Servants, who was hired by Ellison. We set that up for 4:45. But coming up next, Grayson Grundhafer, SicEm365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace. I was there today. Went by there today and got myself a big old prime rib. And I ordered it, drove over there. They picked it up. It was fantastic. And I got some Brussels sprouts and asparagus and a few other things as well. And some of what I wanted to use when I put together the dinner that you might have this weekend. If you want, they were loaded up. The butcher shop was busy. You could imagine, from hamburgers to hot dogs to sausage to chicken breast to all of the other beef you could imagine, plus seafood, pork, and poultry. And then the bakery was also, in fact, they had a lot of different things ready for graduation parties that are going on throughout the weekend, as school is, of course, ending as well. So, and there was someone there to pick up a big 30-pound sack of live crawfish. That was also going on at the same time. Plus, up and down the aisles, whatever you need, from Rotel tomato cans to saltine crackers, maybe even a bag of chips or some seasoning. It's Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Alan
Allen Samuels is celebrating Jeep Memorial Day sales event. It's an exciting time for the new Jeep Cherokee Latitude or Lux with up to $5,000 in values or 0% for 84 months. The new Jeep Cherokee Latitude Plus or Lux is built tough as nails, and the Memorial Day sales event is going on now. Jeep, a great SUV. Allen Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer. The best place to get your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grundhafer of SicEm365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
SicEm365 Radio, Sam Kahn from theathletic.com, and a lot of that list that we discussed as far as Big 12 coaches hired since the conference was formed in 96. He'll join us. He was a part of that list with Max Olson putting that together. And Danny Cervantes, the head coach at Ellison, today at 4:45. We're now joined by Grayson Grundhafer, SicEm365.com, the Bearcats with Craig Smoak every Tuesday, and, of course, analyst for recruiting, and has a big story out again about what they're doing. Grayson, thanks for your time. If we will start with the question, we've discussed this in the first hour. If you we gave the top 5, this was theathletic.com, Bob Stoops, Mac Brown, Paul, help me out, Lincoln Riley, Mike Gundy, and Mike Leach, top 5 since the Big 12 was formed. Would you move any of them up or down, or would you have somebody move into that list and take somebody out?
Wow. So I heard Gundy at number 5. Who was number 4?
It's Stoops, Mac, Lincoln Riley, Mike Gundy, and Mike Leach.
Ooh, you know what? I mean, this might be a little bit of bias on my part. But I do think that I think you could make a case for both of the coaches, whether it be Art Briles or Matt Rule, to be in that list, to be honest with you. And I know those guys that you mentioned accomplished a lot. But if you look at kind of what those two did, obviously the two Big 12 championships for Art, and obviously what Matt Rule did, taking over a program that, frankly, guys, was probably at the time worse than Kansas as far as what the roster looks like. I know Baylor has some advantages recruiting wise, but I think that was as good a job as any. And truthfully, seeing what Matt Rule has done at Carolina, I think most Baylor fans would probably say if Matt Rule had stayed at Baylor, Baylor would have just kept the train rolling, which is kind of what we're hoping that is going to happen with Dave Aranda over the next few years as well.
All right, speaking of the train rolling, June 1st, Grayson, the floodgates are open and recruiting is back on. How do you expect that to affect what Baylor has planned?
Yeah, I think they've had, it's been about 3 months to prepare for this. So you got to think that Baylor is definitely getting ready to try to take advantage of this opportunity, just like every school is. Obviously, Baylor made their two official visit dates for a little bit later in the month, the 18th and the 25th, those 2 weekends in June. But during the beginning of the week or the beginning of the month, you're going to see them do camps, and those camps are going to allow for a ton of evaluations, especially in the 2023 class. You'll see some 2022 offers as well. But those camps are going to be so important. Just knowing the way this staff works and the way the recruiting staff for Baylor works, it's very, very important for them to get guys on campus and be able to get true testing times and true measurements from these players. And you got to think, guys, they've been missing that opportunity for, 15 months now. So it's really a big deal for them to try to get these kids on campus and be able to really see kids in person and get to know what they're all about, as well as getting the athletics and testing and measurements.
Grayson, have there been any new names that have popped onto the radar, or are you still kind of talking with mostly the same sort of guys that Baylor's been in on for a while?
Yeah, a lot of it has been the same guys. I know they've put out a couple offers. Alessandro Lorenzetti, he's a big 6'6", 285 offensive lineman out of Connecticut. And he's a guy who kind of just jumped on the radar recently, got an offer from Baylor, and he's one who already has visits planned to Michigan State and Virginia Tech for the 11th and 18th. But that 25th date is still open for him. So I'm wondering if Baylor might be able to get an official visit there. I know he hasn't decided yet, but I do know Baylor is one of the teams that's kind of in the running there. Obviously, they have a long list of offensive linemen that are going to be visiting, but it would be big to get another one on campus. You can never have too many options when you're still trying to find probably 3 more offensive linemen. You need all the possible options you can have. And then there was one more name that I've talked to him a few times recently. He got an offer about 10 days ago. But Jalen White, he's out of Parkview High School in Arkansas, and he's a kid who he's got a decent offer list. He's still kind of trying to figure out his recruitment, I think, from just kind of thinking of it from how many more offers am I going to get? How big is my recruitment going to get? I still think he's waiting on figuring that part out. But he did get an offer. I know that the Baylor staff, based on what they told him, view him as an NFL-type linebacker. They think he has that kind of ceiling. So he's another one to keep an eye on. He still doesn't know if an official to Baylor is going to happen. He's got quite a few options on the table. So we'll see if Baylor's able to seal the deal and get those two on campus.
So, as you know, there was a report yesterday, and we discussed this for the last couple of days, that the NCAA report might come out today. Baylor was never informed of that yesterday, so that means it won't happen today unless it's the ultimate holiday weekend dump. How much has that played into effect when Coach Aranda and his staff are talking? How much negative recruiting are they facing on the road, and how much would it help just to know an answer, for God's sakes, at some point?
Yeah, I think from a Baylor perspective, people that cover Baylor or people that are fans of Baylor, you probably sit there and go, man, I'm sure all these schools are going to use it to negatively recruit. I'm sure that they're going to take advantage of Baylor's situation. And I'm sure it happens. I mean, we've seen situations where it's impacted recruitment. But I will say that I think as time has passed, less and less of that has happened. And I do believe that the kids who Baylor's recruiting now are kind of detached from that situation. And you would hope that other schools aren't continuing to use it. I'm sure they do to some extent, but since it's been so long, I can't help but to think most schools are probably thinking, okay, well, how are we going to negatively recruit if nothing's ever going to come of it? So I think that's kind of where it's at. I don't think anyone has been able to really drastically shift recruitment in the past year. But I will say before this past year, yeah, I mean, it happened multiple times. I'm sure once the penalties come down, depending on the severity, then you'll probably see it used a little bit more, and you'll see recruits probably hear about it more. But truthfully, Baylor just needs to get this, behind them and be able to move on, and be able to figure out what they need to do and what they're working with. And so I think that's the most important thing, honestly. And I would say that it's not playing a huge factor on recruitment at this very moment.
Well, yeah, well, I would wonder what you'd even say at this point. I mean, year 1 and year 2, you're probably, it's coming down. It's coming down. You get to year 5, and you're like, well, what could you say if you're a coach? Like, you would have no idea.
Yeah, you're very correct on that. I mean, what are you going to say? But I mean, then on the flip side, what was it? 3 years after the investigation happened was when you saw really a lot of the negative recruiting happen. And so that's the other weird part about it is, what are these coaches saying? What are they using about the scandal to affect Baylor? And, a lot of these coaches and a lot of these programs have clever ways of doing it. But yeah, you're right. You would think, what are you going to say? Oh, they're going to get penalized in the next, month. Well, it's been 6 years. So it just is one of those things that it just seems like it's been lingering, and Baylor's end, you need an answer. Other schools' ends, it's just kind of like, well, we'll just use it till we can't anymore is how I think it's being utilized right now.
Grayson, how do you feel about Baylor's postseason chances in baseball? Where are you at?
Yeah, guys, I mean, a lot of it is going to come down to what the rest of the country does. Obviously, Baylor really needs a lot of those, all of those one bid conferences to only get one bid. That's the first thing. You don't need any bubble teams sneaking up and winning their conference championship. But from my perspective, as long as Kansas State and West Virginia don't win the Big 12 tournament, I think the committee is really going to be faced with a decision between Oklahoma and Baylor. And I truthfully think that's fair. I don't see how the number 2 RPI conference in the country should only get 4 teams. That just simply does not make sense to me. That would never happen in the SEC if they were the number 2 RPI conference. And so I don't think it should happen to the Big 12 in this instance either. So now if you're coming down between Oklahoma and Baylor, well, Baylor's got the higher RPI, but Oklahoma beat them in a series very recently in Waco as well. And also Baylor hasn't been playing their best baseball, but you would hope that the committee can use a little bit of an eye test and say, listen, Baylor's missing their 2 top pitchers this past weekend, been dealing with a lot of injuries. Just give them a little bit of grace with that. Plus their RPI is better, their strength of schedule is better. And so therefore, guys, I've been leaning more and more towards, I think they should get in as long as craziness doesn't happen, because I think the Big 12 deserves 5 teams, and I think Baylor's the 5th best team in the Big 12.
Well, and it may have helped them, although they lost 2 out of 3 to Oklahoma, that the Sooners went out 1-2. I mean, they went out quickly as well. By the way, Kansas State is leading Texas Tech in an elimination game, 7-2 in the 9th. That's after Tech lost to TCU earlier in the first game today by a score of 7-2. So that's an update with that. Grayson, thank you. Anything else, guys, for Grayson Grunhafer? Thanks for your time. Enjoy the weekend. Grayson Grunhafer with us on Fridays at 3:45 with a lot of stuff about recruiting. But sometimes we say that, and yet he's a tennis expert and many things with what's going on with baseball and many more as well. When we come back, 4 o'clock hour includes Sam Kahn. He's one of the authors of that story in theathletic.com about the Big 12 coaching hires. I just said on Twitter, we are sharpening up our cutlery knives for you. at 4:10. So we can break down that with Sam Kahn. Also, Danny Cervantes, who's the new coach at Ellison, Baylor alum, by the way, will join us at 4:45. And then we're going to put out that same interview we did with Mark Vidal from earlier this week. That's very lengthy, but also, man, if you still can't get enough of Baylor men's basketball stories, 5 o'clock or just after 5 o'clock, we will run that with Mark Vidal. Things I had not heard about. Things none of us had probably heard about, and some of what was going on behind the scenes throughout the year, but also on the night they hammered Gonzaga. This is SicEm365 Radio.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa Drap Son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Over the middle, he has Ebner in for a touchdown.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Looking to the end zone, he's got a man. Touchdown.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour, Sam Kahn will join us. Is it going to be after a break, Paul?
Let's talk for a few minutes.
I got him at 4:10 because I wanted to make sure we gave Grayson a little bit extra time. In fact, if my co-hosts were running behind on hitting the brakes on time,
It's one of those things. You say that a lot, kind of like politicians will say things that they never do or nothing like them. Like, vote for Bill Smith. He's the candidate of integrity. And then it's like, I've got 4 federal indictments against me, but he's got integrity. But you're the one about like, on time. So eventually if you say it enough, people will believe you. Like when Hillary Clinton was running for president, she'd be like, I love people. They're wonderful. Oh God. Bring me more people in here so I can talk to them. I love people. Smart ones, dumb ones, all of them. So
the 214. Rule, Briles, and Patterson. I know they all deserve to be much higher. And I know that Patterson's not a part of the list, so we can just say Rule and Briles. Does deserve to be much higher on the list as a group of coaches who have won Big 12 championships. For far less, Rule didn't win a Big 12 title. With far less talent than Oklahoma and Texas of the conference. I agree with Patterson. He would be maybe 1 or 2, or 2 or 3. He would be one. He'd be among the top 3, I believe, but he can't be included. So we could, again, because if you include Osborne, he's 1. And then you include Patterson, maybe he's 3, or maybe he pushes him to 5, or Bill Snyder era 1. Hell, I would put him maybe at 1 because of what he did in his first run in the renovation of what was a crippled football program. Maybe the worst football program in America.
Yeah, I mean, Art Briles has more Big 12 titles than Gary Patterson.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. And probably the one they shared can be debated forever on the head-to-head or whatever.
Ties when you have played each other are garbage. That is the stupidest rule. I hate that rule. I hate that so much because that game was played and there was a winner and we know who the winner was. And so spare me the tie that there was a head-to-head game. But I mean, that the Patterson's one Big 12 title was also shared with Baylor, even though Baylor beat them. So I do take that into account. I mean, Patterson's been consistently good, but they also go in waves. So I couldn't quite ever put him right at the top. Like I think that he's been as consistently good as anybody. I don't know that I still buy into the whole has to do less with more, because at this point I don't think he should have to deal with less. Like if you're still dealing with less when you've been as consistently good as they are. Fault. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like you're not dealing with less because of any outside factors. You've been in the Big 12 now for several years. You've competed, but they also go on a roller coaster that, is a talent thing.
And I don't think that would have happened with Briles. I think it would have been sustainable.
I think bottom line, they would have been a bad year would have been 8-4 and in a bowl game. Or maybe if some major injuries happened, 7 wins. But bowl games wouldn't have been any question whatsoever. Those would have been automatic. And I'm not saying that to downgrade Patterson. I'm just saying he doesn't belong with some of the others because they did what he hadn't been able to do.
But he would be ahead of Gundy.
Yeah. I think,
Leach.
And here's the thing, and I think this about, and I think I said this on this show last year, is that I wrote an article about it on the site, is that the reason that Gary Patterson is not, because he is, if you wanted to have the football intellect Olympics, he's up there with Bill Belichick. I mean, he has that kind of football mind. The difference between him and Bill Belichick is Bill Belichick doesn't have a personality. I mean, he doesn't care. I mean, he's just, Bill Belichick is here all the time.
He's vanilla ice cream.
And if you want to take that to Art Briles compared to Art Briles, the reason that Patterson goes up and down like this is because that's what Gary Patterson is personally. If none of that happens with Briles, Art is this. This is Art right here. All the time. Boom, boom, boom. Baseline. He's got his chip on his shoulder and his little, he has, what Art had was he would have little blip ups, but he would never have a blip down. He would, he was always here. He'd blip up, but he would never blip down. So he had a nice baseline. Gary's just.
Well, the thing about, if there were blips with Briles, other than obviously the what off the field was the bowl games.
Well, I'm just talking about personality-wise. And so that's why he would have been able to sustain it, because he was not going to, there was a couple little things I thought, I remember Briles getting a bee in his bonnet about that. I was like, why are you wasting your time on this?
There's a high school football coach in him.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Anytime he got something like that or kind of created a little bit, it was as the high school football coach in him. Mm-hmm. He went high school football coach sometimes.
All right, back to Patterson. I mean, I mean, the Patterson argument, he's a very good coach. Him and Art were different. Doesn't really matter now what Art would have done because he's not here and won't ever be back. So I'm just saying that, you just immediately put Patterson over Gundy, but Gundy's got an actual outright Big 12 title. And I'd say he's been pretty consistent. Now, have they reached the heights that they should have reached during his time? Not necessarily. I think they always kind of underachieve by a game or two when they're expected to have a really good team. They can't beat Oklahoma. That's just something that they have a really hard time with. And
well, most people do.
Well, yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying, though, but that's their biggest rival. And when you're getting, I mean, if Mac Brown versus Bob Stoops, which by the end wasn't as one-sided as it really was the entire time, because I think Mac only lost like 4 less games overall. It didn't feel like that, though, during the time. But Gundy's got like nothing. I mean, it's like 15-1 or something crazy like that during his tenure. But I do think Gundy does deserve some credit for an outright Big 12 title. He's put a lot of dudes in the pros, so he'd definitely be top 5-ish for me. Yeah.
All right, let's get Sam on, Paul. We're going to break here. We're going to get Sam. Okay, we'll have Sam Kahn on. We get this list that we have, and if you are a subscriber of theathletic.com, it's a story Max Olson and Sam Kahn put together. The top, I think it's 38 of the hires since the Big 12 was formed. Jim Grove's not on the list because you kind of don't even know where to put that, although I always have said this, no matter even the CAB fans, that Jim Grove kept that thing alive for longer than I think most people thought, and then, of course, it collapsed, but it wasn't his fault. Aranda's to be determined, even with the 1 year, and there's a couple of coaches that have been in there for 1 or 2 or 3 years that were included. But it's an interesting list. There's a lot of lists that are put out there, and I like to do lists, but I've gotten away from that a little bit. This one was fun, and Max Olson called me, in fact, about a week or so ago to try to help him and Sam digest Guy Morris, Kevin Steele, and also Dave Roberts. And Sam Kahn from theathletic.com, and it's great that he's writing for them. Was ESPN for a long, long time. Joins us on SicEm365 Radio. So has your feedback meter gone up and down on this list? People maybe who don't understand it, or people who want to argue with what you put out there?
I think just like anything, everybody's got an opinion, right? Everybody's not going to agree with it. We knew that coming in, and that's why I made the joke when I posted it this morning. I said, we put a lot of time and discussion into it, but I know everybody's going to fling poo at us anyway. So such is nature. But here's the thing, and to kind of touch on what you said, I'm not really a big list guy. I'm not a big fan of lists, but the way we did this one was we spent a lot of time and effort putting together, a lot of research, into everybody's tenure, the circumstances that led into their hires. Max and I had multiple phone calls, probably. I would estimate we probably had 3 or 4 hours worth of phone calls going back and forth on this over the course of a month, trying to put this list together, just because it's 25 years of coaching hires in the Big 12. It's a lot to digest, but I like the overall product that we came out with. And sure, we expected obviously there'd be a lot of polarizing opinions around it, but overall, I think the feedback has been good. That people understand that we put a lot of work and effort into it.
So the top and the bottom, like the very tippy top and the very bottom, have to be the easiest parts, right? You can just say, okay, it's Stoops and Mac, and it's these Baylor and Kansas coaches. How in the weeds do you get, though, when you're trying to separate what the difference is between how bad Dennis Francione was or how bad, Charlie Strong was?
We definitely did. It's funny, actually, the day before we filed it for good, me and Max were texting about it because I said I was going back through like Gene Chizik at Iowa State, and we had him one spot behind Beatty at Kansas, and I said no. I started looking back at Chizik, and he was 5-19 at Iowa State. It wasn't very good, but the recruiting he did there was pretty solid and kind of set the baseline for Paul Rhodes' team. At first, Paul Rhodes' team went 7-6 at Iowa State, and Jamie Pollard, the AD, even acknowledged long after Chizik left that yes, even though the record was not good, that Chizik's recruiting helped set the baseline for Paul Rhodes that helped him get to a quick start there. So we really did. I mean, it's hard to differentiate between some of these guys at the bottom, which is the reason why Max called, Smokey to ask about, how to differentiate Guy Morris from Dave Roberts from Kevin Steele. Charlie Weiss and Les Miles, I think we went back and forth on at the end of the list. But it definitely was difficult because, again, that we have to take the circumstance of the hire. And for me, also a big piece of it was how you left the program. What shape did you leave the program and what happened with the guy that took over after you? So there was a lot of discussion that went into it. And we nitpicked in the middle of the list. We nitpicked at the bottom of the list. I think the easiest part was the top, with Stoops 1, Brown 2, and Lincoln Riley 3. I think that was probably the easiest of the list.
Sam, with Lincoln Riley at 3 over Gundy and Leach and Pinkel, like how much fun was it to go back into those times in the Big 12 when there were 12 teams and you did have the Nebraskas, the Missouris, the Colorados, but also you had the coaches like the Leaches, Max, and Stoops. It just felt like a great era for the Big 12. Was that fun to kind of go back through?
Absolutely. I think back to the 2008 season when if there was a time that Texas Tech would have had a chance to win the conference, you felt like it would have been that year when they upset Texas in Lubbock that one year. But that year also Texas was in the top 10, and Oklahoma was in the top 10, and Oklahoma State was in the top 10, and Missouri was in the top 10 at one point. I mean, the Big 12 that year looked like the SEC West did a few years later. If you remember when the SEC West one year had 4 or 5 teams in the top 10 in the playoff rankings, that was the Big 12 late in the year. Those Gary Pinkel teams that Mizzou had in the mid to late 2000s were really good. And it really brought back some memories from some of the things that we saw, certainly the heyday of Texas, even Bob Stoops' early era with the national championship and, the Superman, Roy Williams tackle, of Chris Sims in the end zone in the Red River shootout. Leach's teams were really a lot of fun to watch, and to me, very influential both in high school football and in the Big 12 in terms of schematics and the direction football went. I think a lot of that comes from Mike Leach. And that, to me, that did factor in. That was a discussion we had. Where does Leach fall? I think I argued that Leach deserved to be in the top 5 not just because of what he did at Tech, but also because of the after effects of his tenure beyond just Texas Tech, but into the league, into the rest of the league, into high school football in the state of Texas.
What's been the feedback? I think you have Tom Herman at 16, and maybe he should be lower. But then what that also says, and Sam, what I noticed here is how bad the list is after about 13 or 15. I mean, how really difficult a lot. That's why there's been so many coaching changes. But isn't that what you kind of felt like you fell off planet Earth after about 15 or 16?
Without question, yeah. I had texted that to Max, I think, the last day. I said my biggest takeaway from this list is how many bad hires there are on. More than half of them are hires that you would say were failures. I think, Herman is at 16 and Herman got fired. And everybody after that got fired. Sherman, Rhodes. I guess if you take out the early ones, we put the new guys, Kleiman, Neil Brown, Matt Wells. Those are probably the hardest to grade because it's such a short tenure and they're still ongoing. But beyond those guys, everybody below from Herman on down has been fired, and that's more than half the list. So that it was definitely entertaining to differentiate Dennis Francione from Tommy Tuberville and Charlie Strong from Ron Prince. I mean, it really stood out that the Big 12 hire, by and large, has not been very good.
Yeah, Sam, when you think about that, not only that, I was reading the list, and when you talk about the ones who have been fired, there's not even a one in there that's been Baylor fans will debate whether they should have fired Art Briles for everything that's been found out. You can get into the weeds on that if you want to, but as far as the ones who have been fired on the list, there's not even a debate as to why they should have been fired. Like, all of them should have been fired. It's not even close.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things where when you get to a certain point in your program, you can make the argument one way or another. I think that goes for NFL. I think that goes for college football. You can make an argument for firing a guy in most instances if you want to. It just depends on what your expectations are and how bad you want to get rid of the guy. But yeah, I think that there's justifiable reasons why all these guys were fired that are further down the list, and that's the reason why it was so hard to get to the top 10 of the list, because all the guys in the top 10 except for Leach, pretty much have left on good circumstances. I guess you could say Solich at number 9. That one was interesting. But you would say Nebraska football has not been the same since Drake Toll was fired. But for the most part, the guys in the top 10 left on good terms. But yeah, I think you can absolutely make a case for, and it's justifiable why any of those guys were fired. But again, to me, that's part of the interesting part of college football. That's what makes it so fascinating is all the dynamics that go into coaching hires, coaching fires, booster expectations, fundraising, the whole nine. All of it is what makes it so different from something like the NFL, where none of that is really a factor.
Sam, we'll never know, and it's impossible to know what Art Briles would have done over the last 5 years if everything had stayed the same. But I'm willing to bet that he'd probably be closer to the top 5 if things had played out. They didn't, though, and it ended the way that it did. What was the conversation about, or what was the conversation like about where to put him because of all the success, but also because of what you mentioned, the way that it ended? Kind of how did you guys figure out how to do that?
Yeah, it was definitely the toughest discussion we had is where do we put him? And I think what we started with was when we first started the first list from scratch, it was like, okay, let's just rank them based on just football for now, and then we'll take into account the firing and the circumstances surrounding it after. And so he was in the top 10 in the initial ranking, and then we moved him down based on the circumstances. And again, part of that goes into what is the shape that the program was in when you left it. And obviously with Briles, it was in very poor shape because of the circumstances of the firing. So that's what ended up making him move down the list. But yeah, it was definitely the most sensitive and the most difficult conversation we had to have is, are we putting him in the right spot? Is our language correct around it? Are we make sure we're buttoned up? And, we certainly have editors to make sure that, multiple eyes saw that before it went through. But it was difficult. And now if all that doesn't happen and he's still coaching, yeah, he's probably in the top 6 or 7, I think, without question, possibly even in the top 5. And to that point, you guys were talking about Gary Patterson, who's not on this list, because Gary was hired before they were in the Big 12. If Gary was on this list, Gary is probably in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Because, and the reason I say that is because it's not just the football with Gary. It's what has happened beyond the football, that TCU was one of those teams that was left out of the Big 12 when the Southwest Conference broke up. And I think a big reason why TCU has been able to find its way back into the Power 5, back into a major conference in the Big 12, is because of stability and success that they've had in football under Gary Patterson. The facilities renovations that they've done, the consistent success that they've had up until the last 3 years. Obviously, the last 3 years have not been very good. But up until then, they didn't go more than double-digit games. They won a Rose Bowl when they were in outside of the power conferences. I think his resume was really impressive, so I think he'd be in the top 3 or 4 as well if he was on.
Kevin Steele has been a great coordinator. Now, I say great. He's been an incredibly successful coordinator, recruiting guy everywhere he's pretty much been. But to go to show you he's not last on the list, Baylor fans will argue, but then you realize what Les Miles did at Kansas or didn't do, and then how he was exited, and then the Charlie Weiss disaster. But, Paul, you're the one that said, you're right, if you just took the top 10 worst and just added Baylor and Kansas, I mean, there's maybe one or two that interrupt.
That's the lion's share of the history of the conference.
And Guy Morris at 30, maybe even with his record, because he's the one that kind of, as Paul mentioned earlier, gave Baylor a reason to understand you have to spend some money with the indoor facility, and eventually it was time for him to go. But, yeah, it just goes to show you, you look at Kansas and Baylor before Briles, a disaster after Taft. And, man, I enjoyed this. I really did, Sam. I've started reading. It's amazing how polarizing this can be as a topic. It is fantastic. And like somebody said, how about Cliff Kingsbury? He's got to be up there. Well, you look at Cliff Kingsbury, he had an under 500 record too. Although he had, and with Mahomes, he had Patrick Mahomes and couldn't win. Yeah.
That's what Cliff is one we had a lot of discussions about too. Cliff, I think, was higher on the list when we first drafted it. And the more I looked at his resume compared to everybody else's, Max and I were talking, and I said, Max, I think we got to move Cliff down because the record is not good. The conference record is not good. And to me, the biggest indictment on Cliff was that he had a guy who ended up being an NFL MVP and first-round pick and did not do more with it than he did.
Yeah.
And I think, Cliff's a nice guy. Everybody likes him over there at Texas Tech. And I think a lot of the positive feelings around him is, I think, what makes people, anybody I think who's dealt with him personally will generally, at least in my experience, will say that he treats people very well. And that wins you a lot. That wins you extra time and stuff like that. But ultimately, it's about winning and losing ball games. And he didn't do a good job of that. And I think a lot of it, too, with Cliff was 33 when he took the job. That's a hard thing to do. And he had only been a full-time assistant for 3 years. He had been a coordinator at Houston for 2 years, and he had been Johnny Manziel's offensive coordinator at Texas A&M for 1. That was it. Before that, he had spent a couple of years on the support staff at Houston, but he did not have very much experience when he took the job. And I think a lot of what hurt Cliff at Texas Tech was that those first 2 or 3 years were him learning how to do the job. And I think that lost him some time, that if he had maybe had a few more years of a coaching experience as an assistant at the Power 5 level, perhaps he would have been better prepared, and maybe he would have had a better record and things would have been a little bit different for him.
Yeah, how dumb are they going to feel if he wins a Super Bowl one day?
That's the thing, man. I mean, the guy can coach offensive football. I mean, you look at the offenses, where they rank, the points they scored. The guy is a great offensive coach, a great offensive play caller, a great evaluator of quarterback. But they did not play defense there. They did not recruit well defensively. And Texas Tech being all the way on Lubbock, just geographically, it's just difficult to recruit because of how far it is away from everything. And guess what? When you're in the NFL, you don't have to worry about that. Because you don't have to recruit. You sign free agents, you can pay them money, and that's the end of it. And he's got Kyler Murray, who I know he would have loved to have it with him at Texas Tech. And now they're pairing it up at Arizona. I'm fascinated to see how it goes because I think they're a lot of fun to watch.
All right, so here's my question to wrap it up. Max Olson left Earth. You guys promoted this story. You released the story, and Max leaves. He's nowhere to be found. And he said, oh, by the way, Sam's available.
That's funny. Hey, Max gets a pass because he's got that little boy that he's looking after. And you know what? Bless Max, because he's been off for a lot of the last few weeks, but he took some extra time to help me finish this and get on the phone with me and do all this stuff. So I think he's back sometime later next week from his break, his paternity leave. So, but I have no issues with that. Trust me, I was without a job for a couple of months there, so I have plenty of time and energy to engage with the masses about this. So, and I haven't been having 2 boys myself. I have been where Max is right now, and I certainly understand. Hey, if you want to unplug, if you want to throw this one into the ether and just run away, that's totally okay with me.
Yeah, no, we can relate to all of a sudden a shift in the career, and it worked out for you. It's worked out for us in great ways. Thanks for your time, Sam. Can't wait to have you on more often during college football season.
No problem. Thanks for having me on. As always, y'all keep up the great work.
Sam Kahn, he's a good one, and he's now with The Athletic as they continue to compile fantastic writers from a lot of the .coms that have been laid off or a lot of .coms that are gone, and we appreciate his time. Okay, coming up next, I send out every year a form to high school football coaches in Greater Central Texas, and also continue to do that from where I had a long career in East Texas for my website. And Craig also is a part of it with Smokey.com. And it's a form that it used to be too complicated. And I told Derek Tonkett, our webmaster, hey, can you put one up that is really like dummy proof? And I don't mean that because of the coaches, but coaches can get confused now. And so can I. So we have a form. We send it out. It's from the name to the coach to where else they've been. Some of them answer all of it. What's the biggest problem facing high school athletics? All of these things. Last year, who's back? All that stuff. And we put it up on the site in the historical section. So I sent it out, and I got one this morning. I think about 65 coaches out of 240. It's about 1/4 have responded, maybe 240 of them overall. And I got an email this morning from Ronnie Crumpton from Milford. I guess you're going to have to find out who the new head coach is going to be, and then he can fill it out for Milford. I called Ronnie. I'll tell you that story next on SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, they've got their Memorial Day savings event going on right now, and they want you to take advantage of some great deals, and they have great deals. Travel is back. A lot of you might be traveling this weekend with Memorial Day. Well, take advantage, or if you know of some people that need a new car or a used car, take advantage of these Memorial Day savings. You can get back on the road right now with sophistication and luxury in a Buick. Richard Carr has Buick SUVs all priced to move, $5,900 off 2021 Buick Encores, $4,500 off Encore GXs, or you can save $3,900 on midsize Buick Envisions. Right now, you can also save $8,500 on all 2021 Buick Enclaves in stock. The Buick Enclave is a great family travel vehicle. It's got 3 rows of first-class seating and a smooth, quiet ride. Again, you can save $8,500 on the 2021 Buick Enclaves. And Richard Carr is, as I mentioned, loaded with premium pre-owned and new cars and trucks. All pre-owns are priced to move during this savings event, with multiple cars priced under $200 a month for qualified buyers. And Richard Carr Motors is, of course, your local Waco family dealer that takes pride in serving their neighbors. They want to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes, and superior service after the sale. So drop by their clean and disinfected showroom to take a test drive, or let them bring the test drive to you, because they will. It's the Memorial Day Savings Event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store. With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
Whoops. Here we go. Danny Cervantz of Killeen, of Ellison High School in Killeen, who was hired yesterday. Former Baylor football player will join us at 4:45 on taking the job with the Eagles. Todd Wright, no longer the coach of the Ellison Eagles. So I put this form out, and I send it. It's an online form. Coaches get on there, and about 25% of them get freaked out by it, like I would with technology. And they send it back to me. And I got like 50, I think it's 65 out of 240. It takes time. And then I got an email from Ronnie Crumpton, the AD football coach at Milford. He said, again, you're going to have to get the new head coach to get the information. And so I called him. I said, what's going on? I didn't know if Ronnie had taken another job, if he was retiring, which he can. So here's the story. First of all, there are 370 all-time wins in Milford football history, of which 178 of them have been won with Ronnie Crumpton as a head coach. He's been there over 20 years, 28 years in coaching. He's been at Milford a couple of different times. First year there was in 1997. And I've always thought Ronnie Crumpton, when I've dealt with him, has been fantastic. We've had him on the show on a couple of occasions. So what happened is the track team, the results based on Milford and who they have, and last year they struggled at 2-6. COVID had a lot to do with that. They had a team that was down. They've always been competing for state championships. So we felt like the relay teams needed to be better. So he told the track coach, here's what we're going to start doing. We're going to start racing. We're going to start finding out who the top, 4, 5, or 6 people are and set up the relay teams that way based on those times.
That's not what they were doing in the first place?
No. Now, again, relay can also, it's not just a straight 100 or 200 because you have the handoff and the 4x, and of course that's critical too, but apparently that's not the way it was being set. So he decided we're going to start running and see who have the better times, which to me, again, there's some things in between, but that seems to make sense. He then gets overruled by the superintendent. Superintendent says, we're not doing it this way. Ronnie obviously disagreed. They went to the state track meet, and one of those who was supposed to be on the relay team at the state track meet decided they were not going to run because they felt like the decision to overturn what Coach Crumpton wanted to do, he stood for his principles, the athlete. Ronnie Crumpton has been reassigned by Milford. If you look at his record, it's phenomenal. And it's all because he was overruled by the superintendent on how they should set up the relay teams. Now, I'm sure in this day and age, especially with social media, there's somebody there at Milford who will start going pss, pss, pss about Ronnie Crumpton. He's a youth pastor. The church, he's going to stay where he is. He's going to live in Milford. He wants to keep coaching. By the way, Aquila has an opening because who had been hired there at Aquila is back at Strawn, who had a great run at Strawn, who's now the superintendent, and that's another story. Penelope's open. So I don't know where he's going to be. He might end up retiring. But this seems to be kind of crappy. He's the athletic director. He's the football coach. Why would you reassign him about a track? He's trying to help the track team get faster. And I'm not saying the track coach was not good. I'm not saying he was inept. But they felt like they should have been better. So I don't know really much else. Parents, of course, are frustrated. But the school board backs the superintendent. So guess what? Ronnie Crumpton, one hell of a six-man football coach, one hell of a coach, is now looking for an opportunity to either continue his career or retire.
That seems weird that you wouldn't want your fastest people necessarily.
And I did some digging on this. Was there a discipline issue where some guy's not running because of, things that they weren't doing academically or other issues? No. This was just straight up. He felt like the track, and now again, he hires the track and field coach. That's the track and field job. So he's above him, just like the superintendent's above him. So, the superintendent has the right to do what he wants to do. But this seems to stink a little bit. And Ronnie Crumpton, after 28 years in coaching, and 22, I think, is the head coach. I believe it's 21 or 22 at Milford, is no longer their AD football coach.
That's a bummer. He's an excellent coach. Somebody who will be very smart to hire him, especially if you're a 6-man school. And I think it's silly that the AD has some say, right? I don't know, like, you'd want your AD to have some say. I don't know.
Usually the football coach in track and field, it's going to be a different person. Yeah. So that's going to be a different person. But and I didn't just listen to one person. I did talk to some others. So it's unfortunate. And that's, again, there's so many coaching changes now in high school football. It is insane. By the way, from 2015 to 2018, Milford was 45-8. They played for a state championship. What year was it? I can't remember what year it might have been. They played for a state championship with Coach Crumpton in 2013 and 2018, losing both of those games. So that's the Ronnie Crumpton story. I wish Coach Crumpton the best of luck. Milford is losing a very, very good football coach and a great man as well. And now somebody else has a chance to pick him up. We'll see what happens. When we come back, we'll hear from Danny Cervantes, the head coach at Ellison now, Baylor football alum, and SicEm365 Radio. Hey, tomorrow from 10 until 11:30 at Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Mark Vital, former Baylor forward, and also member of the national championship team. We'll have a meet and greet autograph session. Take pictures with you want. From 10 until 11:30. And Mark Vital will replay that interview we had with him in studio a little bit after 5 o'clock today. Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, with right now, there are 0% for 72 to 84 months options for you when it comes to the Ram trucks, back-to-back-to-back Motor Trend Truck of the Year, with Jeeps, and also with even the Chrysler model, the Pacifica Hybrid, by the way. It's a great minivan. There are also incentives where you can get discounts from $3,750 to $6,000 or $7,000 on those brands based on what specific year and model we're talking about. And so that's a great chance tomorrow when you go see Mark Vital to also see what they have on the lot at Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. This high school football segment is sponsored by Southwest Sports Medicine. We'll get you back in the game.
We'll hear from Danny Cervantes. We tried to get Danny on yesterday at about this time. Oh, no, an hour later, like 5:30 or so, and he was on Zoom with his principal, so was not able to join us, so he'll join us here momentarily, the new athletics coordinator at Ellison High School and head football coach as well. He was at Odessa High. He's been at Lubbock Estacado. He will join us here momentarily. And then in the 5 o'clock hour, early on in the 5 o'clock hour, our conversation with Mark Vital. And some of the insight he gave us behind the scenes was fantastic.
Yeah, he was great. If you're a Baylor fan of any shape or form or size or whatever, if you're just a Baylor fan, then I'm sure you probably love Mark Vital, and you will love that interview. And it's 4:44, and we have heard nothing. So I think it's safe to say that unless the NCAA's got some big surprise in store, we're going to continue waiting.
Tried to tell you yesterday the 24-hour notice from the NCAA for Baylor. It came and went. And even as of this morning, about 5:30, still hadn't happened. So that's interesting, but we'll see. Again, the sooner the better. We're now joined by Danny Cervantes. He's the head coach at Ellison High School. I had a chance to visit with Danny for just a second or two earlier today. Baylor alum, played football at Baylor, and he joins us now on SicEm365 Radio. So yesterday we were going to have you on the show, but you let your principal trump us, Danny. What in the world? What happened there now?
I know. Where are my priorities?
You gotta stick with the boss, Danny. That's a smart move.
We let you go because, and then you tried to call us back, and we were close to the end. But we let you do that because we didn't want you to have a one-day tenure as the head coach at Ellison High School. So what does this mean? I know that things weren't really all that great at Odessa. It didn't work out there. How do you feel like this is a new, fresh breath of fresh air for your career?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really excited about the opportunity. I can't wait to get on the ground and get things going. Of course, I'm not going to have a lot of time to do it. It's a late hire, and there's a lot of work to be done in a short amount of time. But I am really super excited about being at Catalina Ellison and just ready to get going.
How do you make up for not being able to be there for spring football?
Well, I think you have to do as much as you can in the summer. Thank God for the UIL and all the things that they put into place for COVID protocol. And, that allowing us to have an hour of work with our kids in the summer, and then strength and conditioning. And, then you start 2-a-days, and there wasn't a spring training. So you get an extra week to get things going. So we're going to have to be very efficient in what we do and try to cover as quickly as we possibly can without any error.
Coach, have you had an opportunity to kind of start getting to know people, meeting players, that kind of a deal? And if so, what you have been able to do? What has kind of been your impressions of just getting to know people?
I really haven't. I interviewed on Monday and got the call this week, and I was on my way back to Odessa. So I'm trying to get a house packed up here and hire movers. And next week I will be back in Catalina, and I will try to touch base with as many players and as many coaches that I possibly can.
How much does the new UIL rule, because of COVID and now even into this summer, you wanted to coach some more, and so you would have taken the opportunity, but how much did that come into play this late in the year to be able to do that?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a blessing, really, because it's going to help us tremendously, being that we didn't have spring ball and I haven't been on campus. It's really going to be an asset to us.
Danny Cervantes, head coach at Ellison, with us, the Eagles on SicEm365 Radio. Danny, we know the history. In fact, Catalina ISD has struggled, as you know. There's a lot of teams up and down. Used to be run by Ellison was a part of that. Of course, Colleen's had their run before, and Shoemaker lately has gotten better. But it's struggled. Harker Heights has had their run with Jerry, but it's not been at a high level. Why do you think that is?
I really don't know. From what I see, it's a tough district for one, and I don't know if they don't beat themselves up before they can, get out to play someone else, because it is a tough district looking at all the teams there. And maybe that's some of the problem is it's so tough that they beat themselves up before they can get into the postseason.
Danny, it being a military town, you've got some kind of move in and move out. Have you kind of started to kind of wrap your head around, the fact that some days it can be feast or famine when you're in an Army town like that?
Yeah, I really have. We even had a conversation the other day about filming with drones. Clearance you have to get in order to get okay to. Now that is something that I'm not used to, but I have kind of wrapped my mind around it a little bit, and I have been thinking about that. And I think for the most part, I think we are really fortunate to be there at Catalina Ellison, and everything that comes along with that job, I'm ready to face.
Coach, you graduated from Baylor. You'll be just down the road. What's it like to be not quite in, but close to your college hometown?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really excited. I get to take in a few Baylor games every now and then, but not a lot since I've graduated. I've got a daughter who's going to be a senior next year there at Baylor also.
Okay.
So I'm excited. I've got a daughter who's going to be the head girls basketball coach at Johnson there in Austin. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little bit closer to those girls and closer to Baylor. So there's a lot of pros.
Did we lose Coach, or is he?
Coach, can you hear us?
I'm still here.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry about that. Now, you also, where did you graduate from high school?
I went to Odessa Permian.
That's what I thought. And so coaching in Odessa, obviously a part of that. You were a part of, I think, a state championship back when Odessa Permian was kind of popping them out about every other 5 years or so, if not sooner. What was it like to be a part of that environment?
Incredible. There's no word for being a part of a program like that. I think it was one of the first of its kind, along with Brownwood, back in that day, and just incredible. The amount of success that we had, and the respect that the community had for players at Odessa Permian, and the support. The support was just, I don't know if there's much in high school football that matches up to the type of support we had there in high school.
Well, I'm going to ask you this, and I hope you don't mind me asking this. As a guy who played at Permian, at Mojo, and especially when you were there during some of their glory years, and then you were an assistant coach there for over a decade as well, did Friday Night Lights hurt Permian football or not?
I don't think it did. I think it may have shed some light on some things that are not so pretty, but I don't think it hurt Permian football. I think really it seems like everybody else in the district just really caught up as far as what they were doing, as far as the off-season is concerned, and the type of schemes that coaches were using. A lot of times Permian wasn't as big as a lot of other teams, but their execution, their mental toughness, their not making mistakes on the football field allowed them to win a lot of games that they weren't supposed to. And so I think everybody else just really caught up as far as that type of football is concerned. And so when you playing people who are not making mental mistakes and they're bigger than you and they're just as disciplined as you, then that balances the field quite a bit.
Okay, so you were at Permian. Back then, it was Permian, it was Plano, and maybe 3 or 4 others that ran high school football. And there was Judson obviously started their run about the time you were at Permian as well. What was it like? Because things have changed. What was it like knowing whatever was on your jersey, mojo, whatever? What was it like knowing that that was worth maybe 10 points before the game or 20 points before the game even started?
You know, I don't know if we even really thought about that. You know, we just had the mindset that we couldn't be beat. We never went into a game thinking, you know, what if we lose, or, you know, we're going to lose the football game. That never crossed our mind. It was almost like we're here to take care of business, and that was it, you know. And if you did anything less than that, the accountability is what I think really pushed guys to play above and beyond what they really usually have to offer is the accountability, because so many had come before you who had paid the price and who had played great football there. And, you know, like I said, you just didn't want to let those guys down, the community down, your coaches down. And, you know, in a town like that, you don't want to let your pastor down. I mean, you know, just all types of things like that.
You tied Beaumont French. And I know it's about Ellison, but I love the history of Permian. You tied them 21-21. That can't happen anymore. What was that like?
You know, that didn't fit well with us. I still remember a picture of me crying after the game.
Wow.
And my linebacker coach with his arm around my neck. We tied, you know, and everybody else was like, "What are you crying for?" And I'm like, "Man, we're not supposed to tie. We're supposed to win the football game." And, you know, that was something that I'll never forget. Great experience playing in those state championship games, playing in back-to-back state championship games. That second one, my senior year, didn't come out nearly like the one did my junior year, but great experience playing in those football games.
So what's your first message to the players at Ellison?
My first message is that we want to put a product on the field that the community, parents, the school can be proud of. That's the main goal, is to do that. They're getting a football coach who's passionate about kids, who feel like our goal is to win football games, but my purpose is to impact kids' lives in a positive way and to add value to those kids' lives.
By the way, I don't know if you know this, when you're opening up your season for Ellison, Permian is actually playing midway in Waco that first weekend. They were supposed to play last year, and, of course, the game was canceled or postponed because of COVID. But, Danny, it's great talking to you. And I didn't even know initially when the story came out about your Baylor connection, so that's awesome. It's fantastic. You got a daughter going there, so you'll be able to be closer to her and also have a chance to help Ellison maybe get to the next level. Thanks for your time. Enjoy it. Careful packing up that house. I know that's got to be tedious as hell.
It is, and I appreciate your time. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully we'll get to talk more.
Yes, sir. We will. That's Danny Servantz, head coach at Ellison High School. How
he
about
needs
playing
to read
for
Marie Kondo before he moves.
Why?
Get rid of all the stuff that doesn't bring him joy. It'll make the move easier.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. You know, I think everybody's had an opportunity over the last year to kind of spring clean and realize what things they still need or still don't or whatever.
I'm gonna tell you,
And if not, then I don't know what you did with the last year, because I sure as hell did.
I thought I had, and then when my girlfriend moved into the house a month ago, holy Lord, I got rid. I mean, it was all junk. I mean, ultimately, but
well, I do appreciate her because now I have a Deadwood and Tombstone poster that I didn't have before.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't get anything.
Thanks.
I mean, believe me, it's not over yet, Smokey. I still have a room.
You can give me those baseball cards, and I'll tell you later how much they were worth. But
I've got 55 Scott Radinsky's that are all yours.
I promise you, in the last 12 to 14 months since COVID hit, and of course then we had a little downtime ourselves, but because you could work from home so much, there are things that have been in the closet, all of them, that you realize are just sitting there. And if you haven't used them in the last 5, 6, 8, 10 years, you're never going to use them again.
Yeah, you're really not.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
I'm going to wear that T-shirt one day. It's like, no, you haven't worn it for 17 years. You're probably not going to wear it at some point. But I do have something completely off topic because I know we're getting close to the hour. Michael Harrison Pilot from Temple.
Yeah, good player.
Standout, wide receiver / safety. He's been getting a lot of offers. He's a class of 2023, so he's not a senior this year, but he'll be a senior next year. He'll be a junior this year. He just got offered by Oregon. So he's been stacking up a bunch of big offers. Baylor offered him a while back, but he's got Miami, Notre Dame, TCU, USC, Utah. I mean, the list goes on. He's got some big boy offers in Oregon. Just plopped one in his lap down there in Temple. So he's definitely one to keep an eye on, and one I know Baylor's interested in as well.
That's unbelievable. All right, good for him. He seems to be a tremendous, multi-talented player for Scott Stewart, and they're loaded up again. And then, in fact, that's part of the district with Ellison. I missed that district. I do when it had Midway. Waco High, of course, was up and down 5A and 6A. And then, of course, the Killeen schools, Coppers Cove, Belton, Temple. It was a good district. Now Brian's in that district, right?
I really loved covering Connolly last year, especially because everything was so close for the most part. It was nice to kind of have that. It's going to be weird doing Midway this year and having to go to Duncanville and DeSoto for actual district games. That's strange, and I don't know what realignment holds in the future. But I really would hope with the way the population is growing, I understand we drift towards the big cities, but it's not like Waco's just in a holding pattern right now. I think, long-term, Midway is going to be surrounded by a bunch of schools similar size to them that are closer. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see what they do. I hope they're just not stuck on an island in DFW for forever when you've got Temple and the Killeen schools and all those down south.
Yeah, I think they probably have one more cycle at least with this crew.
Yeah.
Although, the Dallas schools, the thing that Midway can hope for is maybe a couple of them get something happens up there and then they get tagged on it. You never know, but
I'm sure Temple's like, no, you guys are way closer to Dallas, and definitely stay there because
you lost the short end of the straw. I mean, Waco High with Coach Helt's trying to do, and obviously with
I've never seen a coach more into the numbers on snapshot day than Jeff Hume was the day that they did it, because they knew it was coming.
The problem though was nothing changed. All of the same schools in that 9-team district, which was pretty much clumped together. All these teams were very close together within an hour and 15 minutes from Coppers Cove all the way up to Waco. And nothing changed among them. What changed was Dallas got bigger, more and more districts got more packed and puffy, and they needed to put some schools somewhere. And then what you have is the Waxahachie issue in Mansfield, and they've grown. Mansfield might have another, I don't know if they're getting another school or not, but yeah, Midway, as good as they have been for the last 20 years, I would love to know, in the district you're in now, and this is a debate, be a great discussion, you put them in the district with Cedar Hill, Duncanville, and DeSoto with their best teams from the years that they played for state titles with Tanner Mordecai, Kramer Robertson, or others that were really good, and you wonder if they ever win that district. Because they won it 10 or 11 years in a row.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they would have.
It'd be a playoff team, but it would be, then you put Mansfield, the Kennedy Brooks years.
But, if you put pretty much any other team in the district they were in, and I'll include Temple in that, you put any of them in that district, and they're going to be lucky to win a couple games.
Oh, I agree.
And Midway might be lucky to win a couple games. But I mean, anybody else, Temple, any of the Killeen schools, Belton.
No, none of them.
They'd all like maybe win a couple games.
We saw the first round playoff games. They got destroyed.
Right. They'd all get absolutely destroyed. So, Waco High, that's brutal for them. I mean, it's absolutely brutal. But for Midway, you at least have a puncher's chance, and you always will have a puncher's chance. And I don't know. That's a good question. I think that they probably would have had enough, guys to maybe punch out one or two, or maybe
they wouldn't lose all 3 of those games every year. They would win a couple of times. They might even be able to get 1 or 2,
and they'd be in the playoffs more years than not. But no, this will be a very interesting year because that was a rude awakening last year. But now you kind of know what to expect, and you can better prepare yourself. Hopefully, DG, thanks for the YouTube chat. Might have been the 90s when Ellison, Killeen High, Temple, and Cove used to knock some heads. Good times back in 13-5A. Yeah, and I wish we could see that, man. I remember Copper's Cove to me when I moved out here. It wasn't even so much RG3 for me. I just remember them always having like a good history, and had to learn a little bit more about like Belton. New Temple was good. New Killeen had success and all of that. But, yeah, it's kind of been a down swing for a lot of those schools in that area. And I'd love to see an upswing. Killeen with all those schools there would.
And now Belton has Lake
crazy.
Belton. The softball teams that went away from the state tournament in their first year. When we come back, we're going to re-rack Mark Vidal. He's going to be at Allen Samuels tomorrow from 10 to 11:30 in Waco with a meet and greet, pictures, etc., autographs. And he was in our studio earlier this week, and it's one of the best things you'll ever hear. And how much insight he gave us about the team, behind the scenes, game day, Gonzaga, the team in general, Scott Drew, etc. Next on SicEm365 Radio.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Here they go. It almost looked like Vital was in slow motion. He was in the air so long.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Hi, this is Fun 416, SicEm365 Radio, and in studio with us is Baylor national champion and Mark Vital, and he'll be having an autograph signing meet and greet Saturday morning. Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, Fiat Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. Well, hello.
Well, hello. I've been trying to go on this show right here. So I did it over the phone. I'm trying to get in the chair now. I'm in the chair.
What do you think, man? What do you think?
It's nice, man. It's legit.
Well, we'll take care of you in here, man. We appreciate you being here. You just drove in, literally just drove in. You're working out. How much are you doing working out right now?
I'm working out a lot, man. I'm doing a lot of working out. I do mornings and afternoons. I do a lot of weights. I do a lot of running, a lot of shooting, like typical stuff. And it's different now because I got more time. So I got more time to actually do stuff, not worry about school. Since I graduated, I've been like, man, I don't know what to do now with my free time. So I got a lot of free time. So I've been just killing myself in the gym and running.
Well, you've sure. I don't know what the weight has changed, but you're slicing up here, Mark. Yeah. You can tell you're definitely getting sliced up. Is that as you get ready for the draft in professional basketball, how many things have you learned already that you have to change about what you did before?
Man, if I can go back in time with the stuff I know now. It'll be a lot different. I think my game will elevate it early. Like it's serious with the diet because like you can tell like when I first started off I was just eating what I want and I had a diet, but I was trying to have little cheat days when I wanted to eat what I want, but they can tell. And so it's a strict diet. My recovery went up another level. I ain't never like I always did recovery. And it was important, but now it's like super important. And like the IQ of the game changed for me. Like the IQ changed different for me. So, and I'm going against pros every day, like from Marquise Bolden to PJ Washington. Some guys coming in, Juwan, like it's a lot of people I'm competing with.
Just how thorough has this experience been, just the NBA draft build-up and just all the different things that go into it? Is it kind of what you envisioned, or has there been much more to it than you expected?
Nah, man, like it's just what I wanted it. Like I said, like I'm working on my weaknesses. The process is great. Like I thought I was going to struggle through the process, honestly, because I'm like, man, like they're going to do this, they're going to do that, but we worked on particular stuff that's going to translate over versus stuff I'm not going to do. And they played to my strengths a little bit too.
What are your weaknesses?
Shooting, of course.
Yeah.
Just confidence. I don't really think that I was a bad shooter because I never shot the ball. It's just that the fact that I didn't have the confidence to shoot it. You know what I'm saying? Like I can be in practice all day making threes and get in the game and wouldn't have the confidence. And plus I had guys around me that can shoot for me. So so I really didn't have to do no shooting. So I had them guys around me that can shoot for me. So yeah, really just that. Now I'm a primary, like, I got to work on everything. If I'm going to be an NBA, professional, I got to be able to do stuff myself now.
You, I mean, the progression of you freshman year to now.
Oh, yeah.
You came in, but also it was part of what made you exciting and difficult for people was that your freshman year, Coach Drew would send Vital in the game because he wanted you to wreck shop. Like, let's get these guys uncomfortable. This guy is he's a bull in a china shop. Like, I want him to be a bull in a china shop.
Right.
How much did you see them kind of take that and then hone that energy into something different where you, instead of just being a bull in a china shop, you were kind of a targeted missile?
Yeah, so man, this was so crazy. I talked to a lot of people about this, and I was just talking to a couple of kids about this, that coming out of high school, Coach Drew knew I can do. I was a dunker. I was athletic at the time. I was doing more like guard stuff at the time. And, my second year or sophomore year, right? He allowed me to do those things, but as it got on and on and on, I had to change my role. So when that happened, I was just like, man, like I'm not comfortable at first. Because remember when Tristan went down, I had to play center. I never played center a day in my life. And then once that happened, my whole role changed. Because if you go to the year before that, I was the guy coming in here and getting probably 10 points, about 8 quick rebounds. Like I wouldn't even care about rebound. I was just like, okay, I just need to come here and do something. Mm-hmm. But now it changed to the fact that now I just got to be a role player and be that Dennis Rodman on the team, which I don't have. Dennis Rodman's my favorite player, so I don't have that problem.
What's it like being a national champion all these weeks later?
Man, it's a tough one, man. It's crazy because, like, everywhere I go, I went to Lake Charles. Of course, that's my city. A lot of people know me. But what took the cake was when I was driving to Lake Charles and stopping at gas stations and stuff, people recognized who I was.
Really?
Like, seriously, like, people was, like, looking, but they had to make sure. Like, I've been in a store, like, getting snacks or something, and people would be like, You played on that Baylor team? I was like, yeah. What number are you? And then when I say number 11, they be like, oh, you Rodman. That's what they say. That's what they'll say. And so it changed a lot for me, man, and opened a lot of doors for me to talk to kids. And like I motivated a lot of kids back home. That's what I really wanted to do. And even kids just in different areas. I get DMs all the time from, kids that's going through stuff and asking me questions, and man, it's crazy.
We've asked you this before, and you got your degree. That was huge. Obviously, a big deal. And did you cry? Did you say?
Did I? I tried to hide it a little bit on the stage, but when I got in my car, I was crying.
Yeah, and you talked about you didn't want to be a statistic. You wanted to get through it. Right. Is that something that you feel an amazing accomplishment, but also an accountability for younger men in the area of Lake Charles?
Right, man. Like I said, I didn't want to be I didn't want to either be dead in jail. It's the truth. A lot of people don't like to talk like that, but I'm an honest guy. Normally, kids in Louisiana, they go to jail or, they end up, dead or something because of the stuff that we got to go through just to survive. And so for me, I took it on my own. I left Lake Charles, Louisiana. I went to Dallas. A lot of people hated me for doing it because I was a star in Lake Charles and Louisiana. And people hated me for it, but I made the right choice. And then now they look at him like, man, you did the right thing. And I'm inspiring a lot of kids. Like a couple kids told me that they moving to Texas now, or they going to Cali to play basketball just because they want to get out. And I'm telling them it's the right decision. A lot of people going to hate you in the beginning, but the end result is always like that. You know how it go. People hate you, then they love you. That's how it go.
Yep. Yeah, there's like a pressure to stay. There's a pressure to be in your community and to never leave and to never, and it's almost like you're turning your back, but really all you're doing is trying to better your life.
What was so crazy about all that whole process was that Boogie Knight was the guy that took me out of Lake Charles. And man, when I say they hated him, he's my mentor. That's what I lived with in Dallas, right? They hated him because they was like, why would you want to take him? Like, why would you want to bring him to Texas? You know what I'm saying? And man, we both was getting death threats. We was doing all kinds of stuff from different people, like, come your A-word back here, or so-and-so gonna happen, or we'll do this to the house. Like, it was crazy. I never told people about that, and this was in my own city. And it was just like that, man. And then when I got to Texas, and they start seeing the baller's life and everything, and they start seeing Lake Charles, Louisiana, they're like, oh, snap, he doing this thing, and I'm a national champion that they can't take that away from me.
Ever. Ever. Mark Vidal in studio with us, SicEm365 Radio. So you had a little sidetrack, this tryout with the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I know you want to play in the NBA, and I don't know how that went, but, because I don't know if you heard this story, I got a call from somebody that wanted your number because the Cowboys were intrigued by you. The guy named Jerry Jones was intrigued by you.
Hey, man. It's already out there. I did a little workout with him. And like I said, man, basketball is my heart. You know what I'm saying? But it went well, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, that'd be like a last resort for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm focused on basketball, NBA draft, all that, but it's good to have options, though. Mm-hmm. I can't sit there and say that.
Did they tell you that if you ever renewed your interest that they would want at least you to come back or not?
That's kept a secret, man.
We won't get that out of you. You're going to be at an appearance Saturday morning, 10 to 11:30. Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. You're doing promotions with them. Boy, that beautiful Ram truck out front. My goodness.
Yeah.
Now, let's discuss what's going to, as a meet and greet, autographs. How did this come about?
Yeah, so we actually got a meet and greet that's going to be there, like you said, and we're going to have a lot of stuff, giveaways and everything there. I reached out to him and told him that, you know what I'm saying, like, I wanted to help in any kind of way, you know, and I wanted to just get back to Waco, you know, and me and Mr. T, we worked together real well, and we got it done, man, you know what I'm saying, and we talked about a lot of stuff, a lot of issues, and we got it done, you know what I'm saying, and now we doing a thing for Waco Saturday, and I want everybody to be there. It's going to be fun.
10 to 11:30. It's at the dealership on the Loop 340, just east of 84 in Waco as well. Mark Vital in studio with us.
Mark, you are, I mean, you know, basketball to you is everything. Right. And so you grew up watching guys and you have your favorite players. When Charles Barkley or someone like that talks about you on air, and then I know you've talked to him and all that, what's that like to just, like, somebody's got to feel a little bit out of the blue that, like, all of a sudden, like, Charles Barkley's talking about you, and like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to this dude.
No, like, seriously, like, a lot of people, okay, that's just like, all right, let me say it like this, like, a lot of people love Michael Jordan, right? Mm-hmm. They analyze Michael Jordan. The guys I analyze are like Barkley and Rodman and Starks and people like that. So when I finally, like, I've been on him, I got his number and we text. Mm-hmm. When I finally sat there and talked to him in person, and I was like, dang, bro, we the same height. I'm like, I was starstruck. I'm not even gonna lie to you. If you ever see a picture of me and Barkley, I'm like cheesed up because I'm really like starstruck. I'm like, don't know what to say.
Yeah. John Starks makes a lot of sense that you would like. That's a guy
that's
your own. Yeah. If you were not a Knicks fan in the '90s, you hated John Starks.
Yeah, I love him.
And you like that. I mean, if you were not a Baylor fan, people probably don't really like. They're oh, there's Vital. He's
they hate me.
And you like that. I mean, I saw the Joker memes. You villain.
Oh yeah.
You like being the villain, right?
Yeah, I like what the Big 12 did to me this year and stuff like that. I really didn't pay no mind because I wanted to make it seem like it was an older thing. Like, oh, he been here long enough. He already got those achievements. So that's how I looked at it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, y'all just kicked my ass. Like, yeah, y'all just kicked my ass.
You were pissed, weren't you?
Yeah, I was pissed. I was real pissed. And so, like I said, man, like Stark and Rodman and them, man, them guys don't care. Barkley didn't care.
No.
I like being the most hated player in college.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, if
you were on a team that was 2-17, nobody would care, right?
Nobody would care. But since I was winning, I can talk all the trash I want. That's how Ali was. Ali, you could talk all the trash you want, he'll kick your ass.
Yeah, he would. He absolutely would. Mark Vital again in studio. It's Saturday from 10 to 11:30 at Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. He'll be there for a meet and greet, autographs as well. I saw this tweet from you earlier today, I think it was. You said you had your mind blown today because you realized that even though you were at Baylor, what seemed like a decade, 5 years, that actually you played 3.5.
Right.
It seemed like you played for probably 6 or 8.
Yeah, it's crazy. It blew my mind because I was really thinking about it. And then this guy came up to me at the gym. He's like, man, you've been at Baylor 5 years and you know how long you really played. And I really thought about it. I redshirted. I didn't play at all. I had to wait my turn my second year. And then when Tristan went down, I played more. Mm-hmm. And then like my third year and all that stuff played. In the COVID year was a half a year. And then I just won a national championship for a full year. And really, if you really want to count that, because we had a lot of games off too, but I count this because we won a national championship. I ain't taking that. But that really blew my mind, bro. I was like, dang. And people think I played for a decade, but I really just been here, just chilling.
Did you enjoy the fact that once you guys came off the COVID pause, everybody thought that like you had kind of like COVID had kind of beaten you guys and like whatever you had before it had left, like whatever the little X factor had left, when it was really just you needed just a couple weeks to get back into what you were doing. Do you think like somehow being the second ranked team allowed you to sneak up out of I mean, nobody would think normally the second ranked team could sneak up on anybody, but people kind of slept on you guys.
Man, you know how I looked at this whole situation and by going back and look at it, I put like a movie. Like this would be a good movie because we was tearing everybody up. Everybody, man, you're going to go undefeated. And the next thing you know, boom, COVID happened. You know what I'm saying? And then everybody like, they're not going to be the same. We struggled a couple of games, we lost 2. And the next thing you know, we win a national championship. That's just like a Rocky. You remember? Mm-hmm. Rocky was going through all the stuff. He lost, came back and won everything. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I see it.
We're doing a documentary
Yeah.
So you might be in that movie before it's all said and done.
Oh man, hey, it's gonna be hard to find somebody to play me that's gonna be running and jumping in.
No, you're gonna be a part. It's
like documentary.
It's a documentary.
Yeah, it's gonna be a documentary. So it'll be you talking about you and the team and whatever. Barbara Teague says hello, and she said she owes you chocolate chip cookies.
She watching right now?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Hey, well, I'll tell you, her cookies are the best.
You can't have them though right now, right?
Be quiet. You can't put that out. Hey,
that's your kryptonite, huh?
Yeah. Well, just tell her this to put it on. She's watching, so she put it in a box and put all green vegetables, and make sure nobody can see through the container. And I just sneak them in the room.
Should we send him to Boogie?
No. I'll come pick him up.
Yeah, she's been great. You know, is it kind of different because everyone's kind of dispersed in different directions? And they got their own era. Now they're on their new chapter to go.
Nah, man, we still stay in touch. Like Maceo's my brother, Davion's my brother. Like we all stay in touch. We still got our group messages. We still clown and text each other. You know what I'm saying? Even with some of the parents, like Mama T, man, like I went to her a couple of times and talked to her about advice. You know what I'm saying? She done gave me great advice. You know what I'm saying? And she's good in the Bible too. And we all close. And it's crazy because a lot of teams win national championship and dispersed, but not us. We still talk.
Was that kind of you guys' key though? Because you guys, when you came in, the culture had been kind of set with, Ish and Jake and King had kind of said this is kind of how we have to do it here, because they had started to believe that the program had kind of turned a corner, and you guys were the team that took it past just watching everyone.
I've been a part of all the teams. Yeah. I've been a part of all the team, and this team right here is what changed the whole culture, in my opinion. Because everybody's together.
Mark, the story, the movie, the documentary about this team, is it a dream? Do you feel like you've been in a dream?
Kinda. I mean, if you had to ask me a couple of years will I be a national champion, I'll tell you no. I'll be like, nah, you know what I'm saying? I'll just go to college and play. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody got their own backstory. If I say this, if they ever make a movie about us, like a Glory Road or something like that, if they get our backstories, I guarantee that movie will be #1 for a long time, because a lot of us got a lot of things that happened to us in the past, And we all, if you really think about it, we all role players that got together. You know what I'm saying? Davion coming from Auburn, he was a role player. Maceo was doing his thing. But at the same time, we all came in and it happened, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it was crazy.
When did you guys start feeling like you were national champion? Was it last year when in the COVID year where you thought, we got a little robbed here by this?
Yeah, man.
Then coming in, you knew
we're supposed to win it 2 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're supposed to win it two years in a row. But like I said, man, like COVID happened. You know what I'm saying? Like it was due. It was past due.
Did it make it more sweet?
Yes. What made it more sweet is, and I love Gonzaga, nothing against Gonzaga, but what made it more sweet is when we canceled that game early in the year, and everybody was talking about, well, Baylor's scared. Baylor don't want to play this and that. And then we finally played them at the end. That's how the story's supposed to go.
We were given a story of and I forgot what Coach Jacobs or someone, as they're being introduced during starting lineup, Davion Mitchell is standing out like a little bit separated from the bench, and he's like,
yeah.
What was going on right there?
All right, so as you know, I'm more of like a boxer, right? And me and Davion always had this mindset where we like to size guys up. And I got called before Davion, and I remember going out there and I'm just standing there, right? I'm standing and I'm rocking, you know what I'm saying? I'm basically in my Tyson mode, just rocking, staring at him, right? Next thing you know, I look to my left, Davion got his arm folded. And he just looking, but he's shaking his head. See, Davion never does that. So when Davion did that, I'm like, oh, it's over. It's on. It's over with. Davion got to rocking back and forth. I looked at that. I see Maceo normally back there trying to be pretty, right? Maceo back there with his. See, Coach Jacobs told you a little bit of everybody. And when Coach Drew was like, yeah, it's about that time. It's about that time.
And then you guys got all those quick boards, and you went nuts early along with it.
That probably was
Flo Thamba.
Yes, like
JTT.
Flo is the quiet one.
Yeah,
Flo is the quiet one. We in the huddle, right? This is gonna be funny. I wish Flo would see this. So we in the huddle, right? And right before the game, somebody say something. Flo never say anything.
I'm looking at everybody's face. Everybody ready. Nobody really want to say nothing. I see a big hand come in like this with a fist. It's Flo. Flo said, because he don't talk, Flo said, let's kick their ass. That's it? That was it.
That's all I needed to say.
That was it. And then he went back, and I was like, oh, yeah, we about to go crazy. Because Flo said something? No, it's over with.
It's almost as if you guys were wound up, so not tight, but wound up with so much emotions, and it all exploded at the perfect time.
Yeah, we had a lot built up. And, like, everybody wasn't playing. Like, I can say for myself, like, I wasn't playing well until that championship game. Like, I fouled out. I was fouling out. I was tripping, man. Like, I can say it for myself, like, man, I don't know what's going on. If the refs don't like me, what it is. But Coach Tang, Coach Jacobs, and Coach Brooks told me the same thing. All this happening to you because at the end of the day, it's something good going to happen to you at the end. And he told it to everybody. In that game right there, everything was built up.
When you went over the bench on the other side, I mean, for a second, we're like, well, I mean, he's got a broke his leg. I mean, how did he do that? But was that kind of like the whole thing of like, I don't care what's going on. We're tearing this sucker down.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, I told Coach Drew before, I said, Coach Drew, before the game, I said, man, they're going to have to carry me out. Because I would run through stuff, and Coach Drew know that. Coach Drew know that I would run through a wall for him. And I jumped off, and honestly, I thought they had something else on the other side. I can sit here and lie to y'all, but hey, I thought they had something else on the other side that's going to catch me, but hey, at the end of the day, that's just how I play.
You brought up these coaches. What does it mean to do this with these coaches and for these coaches? Just how special and tight-knit was this group and you know, the impact they've had on your life, obviously.
Man, it's the best teachers I ever had in basketball. I mean, it don't get no better than that unless the NBA got something better than this because every coach has something different to say. And it worked out, you know what I'm saying? And those are the most positive guys. You know what I'm saying? They get in you and all that because they love you. It's part of their job. But I never been around a staff where they put you in a position to win all the time in life. Not just basketball, life. Like, you know what I'm saying? With God and everything, we got chapels and everything. And Coach Drew needed this. Not needed, but it's past due. It was time for him. And I told Coach Drew before I came to Baylor that one of these, I want to get you a national championship. You know what I'm saying? I might not have been a lead scorer or whatever, but we gonna figure out a way. And being a piece of that, man, that took the cake for me.
This is from Kimberly Brandt. Mark, you are defining the new statistic of successful, educated black men who are role models for younger generations. Continue your path of being a good man, loving father, setting the standard for your children, representing Baylor. We love you and are excited, so excited about what you've accomplished as a student and as an athlete. Blessings for your continued success in life from Kim in Dallas.
Man, that's deep. I want to say thank you for that. That's deep, man.
Mark, when you are, I mean, because everyone goes through dark times. I know that this year was, I mean, you've kind of talked about it a little bit about going through it, you know, emotionally at points during the season. When you have a staff that is so unbelievably positive,
right?
Is that one of those things that's kind of a faith thing, a God thing of, well, I mean, these guys are here because like I'm going through it right now and I need to see someone who is smiling all the time,
right?
I mean, they're happy all the time and nothing is ever seems like it's too big for them.
No, like I said, I'm open about it. Like I was dealing with depression and anxiety at one point, and that's still kind of, but when you got a group of guys like Coach Drew and them that would never ever let you be down, it's life-changing, bro, because they never let you have a sad day. Like, they know you have your emotions, and they'll let you go through them, but at the same time, they'll talk to you. You know what I'm saying? And Coach Drew's so positive. I don't know if it's the coffee. I don't know if it's the espresso shots, what it is, but he always happy. So you got to be happy. You got to match his energy. So
10 to 11:30. There's an image. It's on your timeline as well, presented by Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram of Waco, national champion Mark Vidal. Meet and greet. Join us at the dealership. That's Saturday, this Saturday, 10 to 11:30. Meet and greet, autographs, and giveaways.
Mark, you brought up earlier about giving back to Waco. Lake Charles is obviously your home, will always be home, but how much of a home has Waco become, and how much has the community meant to you?
Man, it's a lot, because a lot of the times I've been here for a while, since my junior year in high school, coming back and forth when Isaiah and them was here. So I've always been familiar with Waco, you know what I'm saying? And the people here loves me. I love them, you know what I'm saying? And from the kids that's, you know, where I come from the projects and everything, to the people that's rich or whatever, it don't matter. I don't see that. I just see that everybody supporting each other and love each other, you know what I'm saying? And like Lake Charles right now, we're going through a tough time because of floodings and storms and everything, and you know, we're going through a lot right now, but we got a strong city. So I want to give back to Waco, you know what I'm saying? And then I want to do something for Lake Charles too. Might do something for the kids back there too soon once everything's straightened out.
You know, when we had you on, this was about the time right after you had signed with the agency. Mm-hmm. You were probably, I think we even said, you sounded as clear-minded as ever before.
Right.
And now it's been 3 or 4 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, whatever, and it seems like you're now at another level of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was always one of those guys that, you know, was wise in a way, because I always tried to, you know, stay engaged. But I was a mute when I first got here. I didn't say not a word. I just played hard. I didn't say a word, and Coach Drew got that out of me. And I'm telling you, it's because of Coach Drew I'm the way I am now. Like, he let me be myself, but he also grew me as a man, and he let me have a freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? And it worked out just fine. And I'm always reading and doing different things, and I just study. I like to just study people and everything, and I know what people go through, and I've been through it all. So anything that somebody been through, I done been through it all. So
what would it mean to you Saturday morning if you have a line of people waiting?
That would mean a lot, because, man, that mean that I touched a lot of people, and that's what I really wanted to do. Not only as a national champion, but I always wanted to touch somebody as a person. You know what I'm saying? I don't even care if you want an autograph. If you just show up and want to talk, I mean, I'm one of those guys that like to do that too. So that's how I just want to touch people and show love.
When you talk to young basketball players now, given, like, if they watch you play, they're not going to see. I mean, they're not going to see you hitting 8 threes in a game. They're going to see that you can be a basketball player that's important by just doing what you can do. Mm-hmm. Is that also what helped you kind of grow as a person, that you didn't have to change who you were as a basketball player? Like, they found, like, this is what you do, and we're going to do it well.
Yeah, right, man. Like I tell a lot of basketball players that you might not be a star on your team. You might be a star, you might not. Like, to get to the next level, you might have to make a lot of sacrifices. Like, for me, I was a great scorer in high school. Like I said, I was dunking, I was doing all that, and then got to college. Coach Drew, you know, helped me with my role, and my role was just rebounding, playing defense, doing different stuff, you know what I'm saying? And you might just have to do that to win games. I mean, you're going to have a time and place to show all that, and that's basically going to be on the level with now. I'm training for, like, the draft, but do whatever to take your team to win. You know what I'm saying? Everybody going to see it's more to just the scoring to be a basketball player. I mean, it's defense, rebounding. You might have to be a good teammate on the bench and wave your towel. You might have to give them water. You know, it's different stuff that play a part. A lot of NBA guys that's in the league right now got drafted just because of their personality. They might not be good at all, but because they got a good personality, well, we need them on the team, because if somebody feeling down in the locker room, we need somebody to pick them up. You know, you don't want all LeBrons on your team. It's not going to work.
How much are you watching the playoffs right now?
I'm watching all of them.
Yeah. Well, what is Mavs are scorching Knicks? Okay.
Knicks.
The MSG vibes?
Knicks and Nets.
Yeah. Nets, okay.
Yeah, so that's my teams.
Gotcha.
You know, when I was younger, they were really good. I mean, they were really good. And
like I said, I watched all those old tapes, man. I'll go back and watch the Hardwood Classics. And them Pistons, boy, it was cold back in the day.
Yeah.
Pistons was something.
They had a few Mark Vitals.
Yeah, a few of them. I just wanted.
You'd like that vibe there.
Yeah, I like that.
No, you would have played in that decade like no big deal.
I always said if that basketball was like the way it is now, man, I'll be tearing some people up.
Yeah, look, the Pat Riley Knicks, the ones with John Starks.
That's my favorite coach.
Oh, yeah. I mean, man, like they had that fight with the Heat with Alonzo Mourning. I mean, they would start some stuff. And none of it, like, they didn't have, which is where, like, if you live like in that city, sometimes the guys who are probably like Derek Jeter, like, you know, the cool looking dude, like, looks happy a lot of the time. They didn't smile for anything.
No.
I mean, they were just locked in, and honestly, sometimes it was like you're playing the Monstars from Space Jam. Like, they were just mad.
Man, it was crazy back in the day, man. Like, I love Pat Riley. Like I always said, man, Pat Riley was still a coach. I would try to go. I would love to play for him because, man, he loves that style of play. I mean, don't get me wrong, they got a lot of coaches that like that style of play in the NBA, but Pat Riley still, like, breed on, like, the Heat. That's what we want. You know what I'm saying? He's strict on that, and I just like that little dog play, you know?
You came down to Waco. You'll be there Saturday morning. Mark Vidal, national champion. And I call him an All-American because as far as I'm concerned, he is. And in many ways, of what he does, what he represents, and how he's played the game as well. Good luck, man. It's great to be in studio. What did Baylor, in the end, what did the Baylor fan base, what did Baylor mean to Mark Vidal?
They gave me a first start, if that makes sense. The fan base and everything gave me a first start. They showed me a lot of love, a lot of support, how to love, how to support. They had some of them that didn't agree with you, but we had a lot more that did. You know what I'm saying? And all I can say to them is thank you, man. Y'all gave me a fresh start, in life and everything, man. And now that I got it, man, did you see the video when I got my degree?
Yes.
How many people were there screaming? That's when I realized, dang, they really support. And, a lot of people was, out there screaming. So that changed everything for me.
Well, we have Barbara Teague, who listens, watches on occasion, and she's sitting there, and then Kimberly Brandt from Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just part of...
Yeah, this is part of it. Like I said, man, I built a lot of relationships here. And hopefully, later on down the line, I might have to come out here and make a spot out here.
Hey, we'll be here. Yeah. We'll be here. Yeah. It's great to have you in the studio. It's so much fun. Great to see your face,
Thank you,
man. It really is.
Appreciate it.
Mark Vidal, national champion, Saturday 10 to 11:30 at Allen Samuels on Loop 340 and east of 84. Mark will be there. Ted Teague and his staff will be there as well. Thank you for being here, man.
Thanks for having
me. So happy to have you. And look at that truck he's driving. It's pretty amazing out in front of our building. Back in a moment. All right, so that's from earlier this week, and Mark Vidal again tomorrow. We'll have that meet and greet. He was incredible. We have 2 interviews with him since they won the national championship, one by phone and one in person, and both of them were deep in certain ways, emotional in certain ways, funny as hell in certain ways. When we brought up the Cowboys tryout, whoa! He is just such a one-of-a-kind guy and was a hell of a player for Baylor basketball. When we come back, we're getting closer to Paul's 5 at 5:55 and a couple of other notes as well on SicEm365 Radio. All right, PettyClinicLowT.com. You're hitting the summertime, and you feel like there's something missing. As you get older, things in your body change, especially I'm talking to men right here, about testosterone levels. Not everybody, 1 out of every 3 men, have symptomatic issues when it comes to low testosterone. Most people think of testosterone, especially these days, so many commercials out there about ED or what happens with your sex drive. But testosterone can also affect your energy and even sleep habits. So PettyClinicLowT.com can help you with all the above, or at least find out why things aren't the same. Here's how you get in touch with them. You go online, PettyClinicLowT.com. Top left-hand corner, there'll be the phone number and email address. You can tell them David Smoak sent you. And then Dr. Petty's staff will line you up to get your blood work, your blood work. And what that means is Dr. Petty will then look at your testosterone levels. He'll check your PSA count, which is always important for men, and a few other things as well. But look at that testosterone number, whatever that number might be, and he will know based on your age, your weight, and much more what it should be, or a roundabout figure. And if he feels like your testosterone levels are too low, he could put you in a program to increase your testosterone levels to help decrease the issues you have or eliminate completely issues you have when it comes to low testosterone, whether it's ED, sex drive, lethargic or lack of energy, and even sleep habits. Dr. Kent Petty will look at it, help you out, and help you become the high-performance man you want to be at PettyClinicLowT.com.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll beat all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Allen
Samuels is holding the Memorial Day sales event on the new 2021 Ram Lone Star Crew Cab trucks at Allen Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve. Right now, get total values up to $6,750 or 0% for 72 months. Great opportunities during the Memorial Day sales event at Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come see the Ram Lone Star Crew Cab. The big Memorial Day sales event won't last long. Visit Allen Samuels today or online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbets, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The Sic'em365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
While we were playing, I'm not sure if this was before or during the interview, Mike E. Great interview. Mark Vital was phenomenal. If you didn't watch it, you should. If you watched it once, you could watch it again. I thought he was fantastic, without question. We appreciate him. Mavericks and Clippers tonight, Game 3. Mavericks up 2-0, and they will pack the American Airlines Center tonight for Game 3 between the Clippers and Mavericks and Luka Doncic and company with that. Also, Big 12, Kansas State knocked out Tech, who had lost earlier in the day to TCU. And so now they're in the third game, and it's, I guess they're in a break, right?
No, Oklahoma State and West Virginia are playing.
Oklahoma State's drilling West Virginia 5-0 right now, and it looks like they're early on in the second inning. So we'll see what happens with that weekend. And then, of course, Baylor will then sit back and wait and pray that they have a chance to make the tournament.
If you had to guess right now, are they in or are they out?
I would say right now, my thought is what Grayson did maybe convinced me. Because of the conference, because of the RPI of the conference, it's either going to be Oklahoma or Baylor who get a 5th seed. But Kendall Rogers, who's really good at what he does, said he thinks that they're out. So I just waffled on it. I'm going to say for right now, because of how they ended the year, I would say I hope for Coach Rod they get in, but I would say no.
Yeah, I think they're out. I think they are, and it's unfortunate, but I mean they They needed to win 2 of 3 in one of those last 2 series.
I thought so,
and
too.
they needed to win 1 game in the Big 12 tournament, and they didn't do any of those things.
Hell, Kansas State, I don't even know what their record is. Is their record any good?
Look, Baylor got hot again by going up there and beating the hell out of them. So
No, I'm not looking at the standings because they might be under 500, so that's a stupid thing for me to say if it's not true. But, I mean, they just, they're in the next round. They just knocked out Texas Tech. So, we'll see.
The Big 12 loves having pop-ups on their website that are just advertisements.
God. Yeah.
They have a terrible website. I hate the Big 12 website.
They're 33-22. They were 10-14 in the conference, a game back of Baylor. They've won a couple more games now in the tournament. I don't know what their RPI is at all. I don't.
But look, if they haul off and win the tournament, then just wipe Baylor off the map.
They also had a better record in Big 12 play than Baylor did. Yeah. They were 8-4. Baylor was 500. So, like losing the games they did there at the end, it really screwed them. And I know that there were health issues that came into play and things like that. But, they just kind of limped when they needed to be sprinting.
They won 2 out of 3 against Oklahoma. They lost 2 out of 3 to Baylor, including getting embarrassed, remember, 23-3 in one of those games. But they've come back to beat Baylor and Tech in the Big 12 tournament and only lost by 7-6 to TCU. So they might be making themselves – I don't know what the RPI is overall, who they played. I'm not that into the college baseball's non-conference schedules. Maybe I should be. All right, so we were talking about good movies to watch as we're hitting Memorial Day weekend. Of course, Saving Private Ryan is one. Band of Brothers is always one. There'll be a lot of those. But, Paul, movie, we have 2 minutes break and then come back with your 5 at 5:55. Movie recommendation, and that's off the wall.
Just tell them, Chef. We were just talking about it. If you've not seen Chef with Jon Favreau, John Leguizamo, it's got great cameos in it.
Sofia Vergara,
Robert Downey Jr. all in it. Great cast.
I forgot about Downey. Yeah, Downey's in there.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr.
He's a nut.
He's a nut. But it's a really heartfelt movie. It'll get you in the feels a little bit, but it's really hilarious. It's a really good story.
Yeah, there's a couple of times where I was like, God, I'm so sad about this. He's a chef, loses his opportunity. Craig's the one I want to give it, but Craig told me to watch it for maybe a month or two, and then finally one night I'm going to watch it, and then it was late, and I couldn't stop.
Yeah,
because I had to see what was going to be at the end. It's a fantastic movie.
I had always heard it was good, and it's been out a long time now, but it's on Netflix, and I finally decided to watch it, and I loved it. And I don't love everything, and I'm not somebody that gives movie recommendations all that often, even because I don't really keep tabs and up to date as much as most people. But that was one that I was like, yeah, I definitely think that you would like it, and you did. And
I did.
If you wanted just like a feel good movie, especially these days, like one that's not going to have you like pissed at the ending or upset about like some big character arc, then it's a great movie. It's just a great movie and a fun movie, and you're happy when you're done watching it, and that's a good thing.
And if you like food,
oh yeah,
oh my God! Hey, I'll tell you, the grilled cheese sandwich scene alone.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
I mean, he makes this grilled cheese sandwich, and then you're gonna go. What you've done, which I did, you're gonna go online and you're gonna find out. There's a show. He shows you how to make it, and it's a darn good grilled cheese sandwich.
Top 5 at 5 coming up in a minute, or 5:55. But our good friend Dustin Bird, he's a friend. I like Dustin. He's nuts. He's half-cock crazy. He's angry at times, but I got to know him a little bit outside of his soundbite bear and who he is. And then the message board, I think he's been banned. But, hey, I got suspended by Twitter, so he and I have that in common. Top 5 TV shows of all time. All right? I'm going to give you mine. And this is kind of controversial because it depends. Do you count HBO? Do you count?
Yes.
The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Okay.
Sopranos.
Okay.
Band of Brothers. MASH, and Cheers. If the Tonight Show doesn't count because of my age, Happy Days.
No, Tonight Show counts. Let's see. Seinfeld.
He's at that. That's one of his 5.
Sopranos.
You didn't have that.
Breaking Bad.
No, that's a good one. The Office.
Yeah, I like that.
How about Friends?
I like Parks and Rec more than The Office, and then Friends is not in my top 5 though.
You can't have more than 5.
Yeah, I'll say Parks and Rec, and I got to be one more drama. If not for the ending, I'm gonna say Game of Thrones.
Golly, no kidding, man. That would probably be number 1 for me, if not for the last like couple episodes.
I picked it up so late in the game, it was too late for me to. I can't say it's one of my favorites.
They just ruined it. It's like that thing was going to go on like the next Star Wars for years and years and years. And
the emotions I had from episode 7 to episode 10 of that last year or whatever it was.
Game of Thrones easy?
No, it's not even top 5 now.
Oh, my God.
No,
okay.
They ruined it. They absolutely just flubbed the ending of it so badly that it's not satisfying. So, yeah, I need to think about a 5th, but Seinfeld I'd have to have on there just for a break from the drama, even though I'm more of a drama guy. Band of Brothers I'd put on there, even though that was a miniseries.
Yeah.
But like that's in my vein. And the Pacific is right there with that. But so I'd say Seinfeld, Band of Brothers, Breaking Bad, Sons of Anarchy, and the 5th one is the one I'm struggling with right now to try to figure out. It might be it's probably either The Wire or Soprano. No. Number 5 is Deadwood. I'll go Deadwood.
That is good.
Yeah.
All right. So coming up next, Paul will close out the week, Memorial Day weekend, with his 5 at 5:55 on SicEm365 Radio. Ideal MRI. I'm going to meet with them next week. I've got an appointment, and they have a new screening for fatty liver tissue, and fatty liver issues. I don't think that's part of my problem, but they want me to go through the process, and I'm going to do that. And they're going to start offering the screening. It's a pretty cool story. I'll be telling you more about it. Of course, Ideal MRI, they are the ones with the state-of-the-art technology MRI machine, like you will find anywhere. It is going to find out why you hurt, why you're in pain. Why does a ligament or a muscle feel like more than if you ran into a chair? Like something is so bad, so much pain that you can't function, you cannot see. It hurts. You can't sleep. Ideal MRI will find out what the problem is with your muscle and ligament, and they'll also help you with making sure your orthopedic surgeon gets the video or what the evidence is so they can also decide what to do next. Dr. Rob Maxey contacted me. You've heard the story before we even launched this show and said we want to be a part of it, and they have been from the beginning. And now they have this fatty liver tissue screening, and I'll tell you more about that after next week. So if you have something that hurts a lot, your doctor wants you to get an MRI, you tell them, I'm going to Ideal MRI because they'll also save you hundreds of dollars on average, $497 or less for an MRI, and the average cost is $1,100 at idealmri.com in the Central Texas marketplace off I-35 South Waco on the access loop to Loop 340 and Highway 6.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Hey, for qualified buyer with 4,000 down to 2.9% TTNL extra. See deal for details.
Travel is back, and so are the savings at the Memorial Day Savings Event at Richard Carr. Hit the road in a 2016 Buick Encore for only $152 a month, a 2016 GMC Sierra for only $318 a month, a 2018 Mercedes GLA for $334 a month, or a 2015 GMC Terrain for only $135 a month. 100% credit approval is always our goal. It's a Memorial Day Savings Event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. Go to slapstickscomedy.com. Get your tickets for tomorrow night's show at 8 o'clock at Rogue Media Network, which is right down the street on Washington from where we are right now. It's $20, and you can see me and my friends do a really fun improv show we're going to do tomorrow night at Rogue Media Network. But top 5 television hosts, and I did game show hosts. This is once again from the Matt McBrayer requested this, and he's been such a great participant in this. I thought I would give him another list. He's given me a lot of good ones to go over. All right, number 5, Jeff Probst, Survivor. Now, look, as the rest of the guys go on this list, personality-wise and all that, Jeff Probst is pretty vanilla. But he has made a show continue to be on the air and continue to be somewhat interesting that is essentially the same all the time. Do this crazy thing, live out in the wild, eat.
Isn't that what most of these shows are?
Yeah,
now?
But eat a wolf stomach and then
or sleep in a wolf stomach.
Yeah, whatever it is. So I think he also handles, he makes it, those votes are just he's so even keeled.
Yeah, it looks something about the way they do the votes.
The tiki
good.
torches and all that stuff.
He makes it. The drama.
Do you think he could win it?
Probably at this point, he's got the knowledge of all those seasons. But he does a really solid job.
Yeah. Number 4, and this is going to bring about some date, Oprah. And here's why. I'm not really a fan of Oprah. But I do know that there is not one person on this list or one person in media that can, just by saying that she did something, inspire scores and scores of people to do it within 24 hours. I worked at a bookstore one time. When she put a book on the list, if a lady got there and it was out, she was panicked because what if Oprah comes by? I will not be able to talk about this book about child trafficking with her. I'll be lost, and she'll never be my friend. Oprah has that power.
Yeah, I credit her for getting a lot of people to read that otherwise would not be doing so.
Yeah.
So definitely.
But again,
I haven't watched something she's done. Even
she
some
hasn't
of
been
these,
on a lot.
Yeah,
she's been kind of semi-retired.
Yeah, she set herself up. The only thing that got a little bit, and I battled on and off. These different weight that she would get down to a certain weight, and it was at Oprah, right? And then she'd balloon back up again. That's part of the deal.
She struggled with that. That's why she's like a diet business lady now.
Yeah.
I mean, she has a whole system of Oprah-centric diet plans and things, and that's why it's her battle, and that's one that a lot of people face.
People would listen to her say you could get a tomato and put a turd on it and eat it. It would be good, and they'd eat it.
Well, somebody would definitely try it just because she said it.
Or a guy who's a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Yeah. Or he would do it for fun. Yeah.
Number 3, Jon Stewart. Took a show that wasn't his, The Daily Show, and made it something completely different and completely original. Also, if you want to see someone, and this is in 2003, he went on Crossfire with Paul Begala and Tucker Carlson, and I watch this all the time and just eviscerated them about what they've taken part of in making the media. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, just eviscerated him. He does a lot of things for veterans, for firefighters. Great dude, great television host. He's got a new show coming up here soon. Can't wait to watch it. Even when I don't agree with him on something,
I've never
I'm
watched him before. I haven't watched a lot of the late night stuff. But go ahead.
People probably, I would say probably right-leaning people see him and they're like, Democrat, I'm not going to listen to him or whatever, even though that's just the dumbest thing in the world. But I would not put him in a box like that. He's far too smart to put any type of label on him.
Good.
I like his version way better than Trevor Noah's. It's not even a knock on Noah. It's just that Jon Stewart is The Daily Show. Mm-hmm. And, his 9/11 work, I mean, he is fought tirelessly, and there's a great video from a couple of years ago when he was in front of one of the panels that were trying to determine the payments and things that 9/11 survivors would receive. And, basically our government's trying to screw them too. Like they try to screw pretty much everybody but themselves. And Jon Stewart got into one of those sessions, and man, he spoke from the heart, and he killed it, man.
Yeah. And then unanimously passed after he
killed it.
After he embarrassed them. Yeah. They brought it to the floor and passed it. Number 2, David Letterman. To me, there was no one more unique and weird and making random things funny than David Letterman. Can a guy in a bear suit get into a strip club? Can a guy in a bear suit get a reservation at a New York restaurant? Mujabar and Sierra Jewel, the gift shop guys,
those guys.
Rupert G, the stuff that he did. May we taste your dinner, please? Where he would just go on the street and ask people, can you bring your dinner into the Ed Sullivan Theater? Well, let me take a bite of it. I mean, just those things and the way him and Paul Schaefer loved it. And doing a great show now on Netflix, really interesting as well, called My Next Guest. And number 1, the man who was...
I mentioned that.
Yeah, exactly. Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson, and for people in comedy, I don't know if people know how it feels to let a joke bomb, is sometimes it feels like you just shot your own dog, when a joke bombs. Johnny Carson a joke would bomb, and it was almost as good as if it worked to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why he was so good. Yeah. So
the producers were great, the directors, the camera
Ed
angles.
McMahon.
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
I miss him.
Yeah.
He's a Nebraska boy.
Yep.
There
you go.
Very nice. Thanks to Grayson Grunhaper. I'm about to sneeze here. Thanks to Sam Kahn, also to Danny Cervantz. Jack, you, Hayden, and Emma, I'm telling you right now, what an incredible day it's been. But Armstrong, I still believe you are the genius, and thank you for being back. I know Jack thanks you every single day. For Paul Catalina, for Craig Smoak, thank you. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Let's not forget what it's really about. I'm David Smoak. Good night on SicEm365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.